o'clock. The meeting was scheduled to begin at 1. Unfortunately, both the mayor and the deputy mayor are unable to attend. So pursuant to the procedural bylaw, the balance of council will convene at 1:15, and at that point, I'll call the meeting to order, and they will appoint a chair to act until the deputy mayor arrives later in the day. Okay, thanks. So the meeting will start at 1:15. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. So it's now 1:15, and in the absence of the mayor and deputy mayor, I'll call the meeting to order and then look to council to make a motion to appoint one of the members as the chair. Councillor Van Passen.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I would move that we appoint Councillor Very to act as the chair today.
Thank you. A seconder for that, please. Councillor Michele. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, good afternoon. I would like to welcome all members and guests to the July 22nd, 2025 council meeting. Our meetings are web streamed and televised. Please ensure that your phones are on silent mode. For those attending virtually, please mute yourself when not speaking. When called upon to speak, please turn your camera on and unmute yourself. Staff in attendance, please use the Microsoft Teams raise hand feature to be called upon and remove it after speaking. With that, I call the July 22nd, 2025 council meeting to order. So we'll do a roll call. Mayor Martin sends her regrets, and Councillor Duthie will be arriving later today, and Councillor Huffman is attending virtually. Is she there? She is not. Okay, so Councillor Huffman will be joining us shortly. So we start with our ceremonial activities, and of course the first is the Indigenous acknowledgement. The municipality of Norfolk County is committed to furthering truth and reconciliation in our communities. We recognize the historical and current contributions of Indigenous peoples throughout Canada, and particularly in Norfolk County, that have added to the rich cultural and social fabric that exists here today. We will strive to continually strengthen and develop the spirit of respect, cooperation, and collaboration to the mutual benefit of all Norfolk County residents. Council has the agenda before them. May I have the motion to approve the agenda as presented? Are there any changes to the agenda? Sorry, Councillor Columbus, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a request that the rules of procedure be set aside to allow the following time-sensitive motion concerning a grant application be considered by council this afternoon in the meeting. And if I could have a 2/3 majority to have that happen.
Okay, so you're making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a seconder? Councillor Brunton. Any discussion on that? So we call the vote. So 2/3, all in favor? That carries. Thank you, Councillor Columbus.
Thank you.
Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, then may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Columbus. All in favor? Very good, carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest for today's meeting? Seeing none, we will carry on. So there's no early close today. We have no consent items. So we'll go right to communications, and we have 2 communications items today. Councillor Van Passen has requested to poll item 6.2, resolution passed by the Township of Otonabee South Monaghan for discussion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I pulled this because in Norfolk County, we call ourselves Ontario's Garden, and I think most people don't realize how much of the fruit and vegetable industry, especially the fresh market sector, is still dealt with in cash. And we have the federal government bureaucrats trying to solve a problem that will criminalize a bunch of legal activity. So I would like council to send a letter of support to the motion that the Council of Autonomy South Monaghan has made that I think that Bill C-5 is an unacceptable overreach and criminalizes lawful cash transactions and undermines the use of Canadians' right to use legal tender. I much agree with that statement, and also it will make life harder for honest, legitimate businessmen who are used to dealing with cash money. So I'd like council support to send a letter of support supporting this one.
Okay, so that's a motion?
Yes.
Is there a seconder? Tom? Okay, Councillor Michele, yep. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call that vote as well. All those in favor? Okay, so carried. Oh, and Councillor Huffman is now on the line. Hi. Okay. Let me see here. So, there's nothing else? Okay, so may I have a motion then that the remaining communication items we received as information? Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Vanadrishi. All those in favor? We're clipping along. Deputations, we have one today. We have Paula Jongerden here to speak on the Forestry Farm gas well. Is Paula here? Oh, yeah, come on up. Okay, welcome, Paula. So you have 5 minutes, and I'll let you know when you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you. To the chair and councillors, my name is Paula Jongerden. My property in Norfolk County borders on beautiful Big Creek and the county-owned land that has the abandoned well being discussed today. I am representing the group of neighbors who are presently most impacted by the noxious emissions over an almost 10-year period. Our group was allowed only since last Friday, July 18th, to read over the long-awaited report and have residents meet and prepare a deputation to this council. We support and endorse the technical recommendations in the report. Installing a degasser apparatus at the forestry farm location and a relief well is necessary. And although this remedy was suggested over 6 years ago by Dr. Richard Jackson from the University of Waterloo, we are pleased this is on the table now for the path forward. Thankfully, the alarming plan, viewed by some as careless, but which was previously supported by council with the vote in April 2022 to merely try and cap the well, has been discarded. The result could have impacted other taxpayers in the Big Creek Valley by moving the problem onto private land. Someone will likely say, well, we didn't have the information we have today, but this should not have been a missed opportunity to err on the side of caution. To hear in February 2024, Montrose hydrogeologist Stuart Hamilton say that in his 35-year career, he has never seen levels of hydrogen sulfide as high as in this region. And he also stated that this well, and I quote, is one of the biggest problems of its type in Ontario, might be the biggest problem, end of quote. Those statements are pretty scary. One would think that this well should actually be high priority, not just lip service to pacify anxious residents. Questions we hope will be answered and addressed. Surprisingly and sadly, after all these years, we need to identify positively who has overall accountability for the hazards. Although we have been told repeatedly over the past 10 years that everyone is working diligently, sadly that reassurance has become a really bad joke at the expense of the public's health, at the expense of nearly a decade of the residents have continual focus on a problem that quite possibly could have been avoided. Had the province, the MNRF, not chosen to cap the apparent plan to cap a functioning relief well in 2015, perhaps we wouldn't be in the situation we're in today. So we agree that the apparent plan to have the province to be the lead on this project is also endorsed. However, the residents would like assurances from Norfolk County that timelines will be, as with any properly managed project, outlined for us and adhered to. The local to the well residents, indeed the greater public, deserves this. The local environment deserves this. The huge cesspool of effluent coming from the leaking well has destroyed an important wetland in the area. Currently, hydrogen sulfide is entering the surface water environment at tens of thousands of times over the regulatory limit. This issue, this long-awaited progress, this stinking mess needs to be given the priority it deserves. It has not been given that thus far. When I originally discovered the noxious effluent literally pouring into Big Creek close to 10 years ago, when I was told not to take photos of that place or could die, I naively thought the problem would be addressed in earnest. I never suspected to have this issue consume this much time and energy in my life, nor did any of the other residents. It has colored family and friends get-togethers. It has made me be viewed as a complainer, but most of all, it has caused grave worry of health effects from long-term exposure to fluctuating levels of hydrogen sulfide and methane. I brought along this metal pot, which has been on my property somewhat nearer to the gas well than to my house. If previously it was silver, I've lost my spot. Okay. If the hydrogen sulfide can do this to metal, what is it doing to our bodies? We all expect that the issue will be addressed in a much more timely fashion from this point on, and that the basic human right for clean air and water is respected and reflected in the path forward. To recap, we endorse the recommendations in the report to install a vacuum degasser and a relief well. We expect to know who has the accountability for the hazards. We need timelines given to us and enforced. We expect that the county will be the voice of the residents and will give responsible assurance that we will continue to be included in the plans moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputation? Okay, thanks very much. Oh. No, just from council, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the deputation as information? Councillor Vanadrishi, seconded by Councillor Brunton. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we're moving on to presentations. We have 2 presentations today. 8.1 is the Delhi Dog Park check. I'm going to welcome Brent Steffen. Is Brent here? Yeah, there he is. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining.
Well, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council, for allowing me to speak today. I know this is, I think, my 3rd time up here talking about the Delhi Kin Park. Bringing some really good news today that the park is about 98% done. And thanks to Bill Crinlin and his team for all the efforts there, and of course the support of Council. Right now it's just laying some grass and getting some signage up, and we should be able to open up the park hopefully here in August. Some good news is the budget for the park was $28,000, and it came in under budget at around $22,000. So with the efforts of the fundraising from our Kin Club, which is still a fairly new club, we're very proud to be able to bring in a check today for our commitment of the 50%, so for $11,000 to close this project off finally, and we can move forward to bigger and better things as well. The $11,000 doesn't seem like a whole lot of money, but for a brand new service club, to taking on a project like this, we're very proud of. And again, we couldn't have done it without the support of Council and Bill Crinlin for his team. So we're here to say thank you. Hopefully this will strengthen our relationship even further. So when we come back for another phase of this project, we'll get some continued support. So thank you very much. And I don't know where do I go with the check?
Well, yeah, as you say, maybe you can just hand it to Miss Fanning on your way by. Is it okay? Okay. That's a treasure for everyone watching at home. It's just not someone in the crowd there. So, well, one second before you leave, in case anybody wants to have questions or comments, just if you don't mind standing up there for a second. Anybody have questions or yep, Linda? Or sorry, Councillor Vanadrishi, yep. Oh, Councillor Columbus goes first.
Columbus.
Yep, go ahead.
When do you expect the first dogs to arrive at the gates there?
Well, honestly, I think they already have, unannounced, but we are going to hopefully have a ribbon cutting ceremony later in August.
And you're going to have some signage so that people take care of this particular park and clean up after themselves, I take it?
We will, and we're hoping to have more signage that says that this is no longer the dump.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you to the Kinsman Club and Bill Cridlin for making this happen. It's been a long time coming, probably 3 years in the making, and you've done a great job, and I look forward to your next community project as the Kin Club.
Thank you.
Councillor Vanadrishi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. Thank you very much, Brent. It's amazing that you're doing this and that you've got it successfully completed. So kudos on you and all those organizations that come out to support the county with different projects. So I just want to say congratulations, job well done.
Thank you.
Councillor Michelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wonder if this would be an appropriate time to take a minute and have a photo opportunity for Mr. Steffen's presentation of that check.
Sure. Do you want to wait for our deputy mayor?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would suggest it be you.
Yeah, okay. Can I make a comment before we do the photo? No? Just wanted to comment, appreciation, of course. Thank you so much for doing that. And you mentioned a moment ago that the check is, $11,000 isn't a lot of money. Don't do that. We appreciate it. It doesn't, what's a lot, what's a little? You raised it. It's huge for the county. It's greatly appreciated. And as a new club, and I've been involved in clubs, let me tell you that there will be people who tell you you don't do enough, that you did it wrong or whatever. But when you do $11,000, don't take it away from yourself. You did a great job, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much, and to all your members. So let's, I guess, do the photo then.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, great news. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the presentation as information? Oh, Tom just wanted to eat the berries. That was what that photo op was all about, eh? He's got blueberries and strawberries. Okay. Motion to approve. Okay, Councillor Brunton, seconded by Councillor Van Passen. All those in favor? All right. Carried. We have our second presentation, I guess. We have the Forestry Farm gas well. Welcome Stuart and Louis Charles from Montrose. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute remaining.
As some of you may know, my name's Stuart Hamilton. I'm with Montrose. Been with Montrose for about 3 years, but I've had some involvement with this project in one capacity or another for almost 10 years. My colleagues are Cam Baker, senior geologist at Montrose, and Louis Charles Boutin, who's the principal engineer. Okay, I'm going to go over this very briefly. These are mostly the conclusions and recommendations I'm going to be talking about from the report we did. This was a fairly, can I have the next slide, please? This was a fairly narrow scope, so I'll be talking about the scope first. And there we go. Be talking about the scope of work first, and I'm going to give the outcomes, what we found in this work, conclusions, recommendations, and then what we called out-of-scope recommendations, which are sort of an ideal world path forward. Next slide, please. So the scope was fairly simple. It was basically to install some monitoring wells. So we installed 2 monitoring wells. We installed some piezometers, which are very shallow monitoring wells you can push in by hand. We're going to talk about the, I can barely get my own slide there, but we installed pressure monitors as well. That's continuously monitoring pressure at the moment. We tested water quality. We determined aquifer parameters, which are not of interest to anybody here, but they're very important for modeling and for understanding and being able to simulate what's going on in the subsurface. And then we reported the findings, of course. We also wanted to install a weir, which is a flow measurement device, but the culvert was so rotted out after about a year installed that we couldn't. It was basically foil. We couldn't install it to the culvert. So when the culvert's replaced, we will be able to install that at some point. It's the system is built and the equipment's purchased. It just hasn't been installed yet. And then the last thing was that we updated the numerical model. We had an earlier numerical model from 4 years ago that we did for Norfolk. We updated that. And that wasn't really part of the scope, but we could do it within budget, so we did. Next slide, please. Okay, so the outcomes are basically we installed the wells. So, and then we sampled them, and then we got the data that was important. And this data was extremely important because it's the first time we've collected real, purpose-built data from the site in all the years we've been working here, and it produced some very important information. Next slide, please. This is a site. I guess you can hit next slide. It'll show the graphics. Basically, the three orange dots there are where the wells were installed. In the center there is Forestry Farm Road, and then there's the Spanger Spring, which is just to the north in the yellow, and then above that is a well, a former investigate well we got important pressure data from as well. Next slide, please. And those are all the gas wells that are in the area. As you can see, there are literally many dozens of them, and of course there are hundreds in the region, but you can see the density of gas wells. Almost all of these gas wells have been decommissioned, with just a couple exceptions, but any decommissioning that was done prior to 1970 was not done with sufficient standards to potentially stop flow, because there's been, as I'll discuss in a moment, there's been a rise in regional water pressure, and that wasn't anticipated by the people that abandoned these wells. They know that even back in the 60s they knew how to stop water flows, but they didn't know there would be water flows to surface. So that's why there's such a problem here. So next slide, please. So there's going to be a cross-section across here. I'm just showing, so that's where the cross-section's going. Next slide, please. This is a cross-section. There are basically 5 layers. I won't go into detail, but it's a layer cake sort of structure where we've got an aquifer, which is just a water transmitting unit, then an aquitard, which is just a seal, then an aquifer, an aquitard, and another aquifer. And basically the gas wells and the water wells have punched through all of those. In some cases they sealed them on the way through, other cases they didn't. And so water can now flow up from depth and then move sideways in one of these intermediate aquifers that we encountered. And that's what the problem is. That intermediate aquifer has become pressurized. That's probably a non-natural situation. That increased pressure is pushing its way through the clay. So the clay normally would be a very good seal. That dark blue layer there is the clay. That would normally be a very good seal, but there are areas where it's been naturally eroded by the river, or cases where tree roots have gone through it, or other maybe they've dredged through it in the river, or for whatever reason, there are many places now where it's leaking through the clay. And so what's happened now is that up till now, a lot of the leakage in this area was due to leaking from gas wells or wells themselves. Now it's basically springs. We have these springs popping up through the clay. And once that starts happening, it's very, very difficult to stop from a technical point of view. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And that right there you can see is the, I'll back up one, please. Those two lines you can see there, that bottom line that goes across was the water level in the throughout most of the 20th century. That's where the water level in bedrock was, that lower line. It's gone up by about 20 meters. So we had a suspicion this was happening for the last 10 years, but this is the first time we've been able to quantify that. And now we can see that the regional water levels have risen by 20 meters across the entire area, and flow is now coming up where flow couldn't have come up before because there was no pressure to push it. So the water levels, that's an extremely unusual thing to happen. It only happens with volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, landslides and whatnot. It doesn't happen unless something major geological happens to get water levels changes that high. So this is not natural. This is an anthropogenic influence. So next slide, please. So I guess we better go next slide. So as I think most people here know, there was a relief well that was there. There was an original well that existed from 1910. It was originally a gas well. It flowed in the 1960s. They decided to do something about it, and they sealed it in 1968. But when they did, 5 wells immediately started flowing within a few months, and those 5 wells were all plugged that same year in 1968, and then later on in the same year. So then January 68, they abandoned the relief well. They plugged the wells, the flowing wells in the summertime, but they knew that would cause more flow at the time, and then they drilled another relief well in the fall of 1968. And that operated, next slide please, that operated for almost 50 years until 2015, when that well was plugged by order of MOE. And after that was plugged, within a month, 4 wells started flowing, different gas wells this time, started flowing, and another one flowed a little later, and another one flowed later than that. So next slide, please. So the original 5 that started, or 4, I should say, or 5 that started flowing after 2015, when they were abandoned, the last one was abandoned in 2017, and then within a month, the springs started what we now know are springs started popping up, and those are shown in magenta at the top. And so you can see that as you're going further north and further east with this discharge. And then there's also that one off to the west there. That's kind of an odd duck, but it shows how much the water levels come up because that's the highest elevation in the whole region, and yet it's flowing was flowing at that spot until it was abandoned last year. Next slide, please. Just to put this in perspective, I guess probably you can't see that very well from here, but there are little round circles there, rings, and those rings are proportional to the amount of hydrogen sulfide in the water across southwestern Ontario. This is from data that I collected personally. I was in charge of the program when I worked for the Ontario Geological Survey, and I sampled many of these wells, or my team sampled all the rest. But the point is that if you can see it, this is by far the largest problem in Ontario. There's no problem anywhere close to this problem. You can see there was a fatality that happened. Unfortunately, it was a very sad case where a guy went down to his well to fix something. He died almost instantly. He wouldn't have got a second breath in. 12,000 ppm in air in that well was in that well, and 1,000 will kill you within seconds. And that's a far lower impact than what's occurring in this region. So that was about 120 ppm, and we have more than 3 times that in the Big Creek area. So you do have a case that this is the worst case and worst place in Ontario for this problem. Next slide, please. So just getting into the conclusions, I'll just skip through them quickly because basically the conclusions are in the report, but we got very important information that allowed us to calibrate a numerical model. Next slide, please. And that numerical model is going to allow us, when it's completely calibrated, will allow us to make predictions about things. You can abandon a well and see what's going to happen, that sort of stuff. But next slide, please. So the recommendations we made that were in scope were that we had initial. There needs to be monitoring done that should be carried out for about a year. Then after about a year, we see what happens to the changes in the chemistry and the pressure, and then we decide how much longer the monitoring should go on for. The existing numerical model needs to be further calibrated. We basically built the model, but now it needs to be calibrated for the local conditions. We need to characterize additional groundwater discharge points. We know there are additional groundwater discharge points at both sites, and we don't know enough about them. Replace the existing culvert because we couldn't install the pressure measurement device, the flow measurement device, and we do not recommend plugging the FFR well at this time. I don't think it's even technically feasible without pressure relief, and you'd have to relieve the pressure first. So next slide, please. So the out-of-scope recommendations, these are the ones that basically, as I said, we offer these in good faith, ignoring jurisdictional issues or regulatory issues, because there are some problems with the way the law is written about how you deal in dealing with this problem. And of course, we're ignoring budgetary concerns, although some of the things we're proposing are not really that expensive. Next slide, or rather next bullet point. So in the short term, we recommend focusing on the Spanger spring area. That area has much lower flows. It's far less risky to...
Sorry, Stuart, I've already let you go over, and I didn't give you your warning. Can I get a motion just to allow this to go so we don't go against our bylaw? Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Van Andriesche. All those in favor? Please continue.
No,
it's me. Sorry, continue.
Pardon me. So we're recommending that the problem at the Spanger site be approached first, that be prioritized, because there's so much less flow in that area that it's a lot less risky to try and abandon those ones. So it may be possible to find out what wells are contributing, what gas wells are contributing to that problem. We know they are gas wells that are doing it. And then dealing with that problem, and that specifically is the worst area in Ontario, that specific leakage site. So next slide, please. And so the other major recommendation is that in the short term, that a vacuum degas would be installed. And this is basically a device they use on drill rigs to protect the people that are drilling in case they hit gas. It will suck the gas right out of the water, and you'll end up with water that's got a bit of H2S in it, but air that's got no H2S in it, or virtually none. And so and you end up, it precipitates as a black sulfide there, and it's harmless. You can throw it in the garbage. So it's not it's an off-the-shelf piece of equipment. The problem is that the effluent that comes out of it will have far lower H2S than it has now, but it will not meet the regulatory criteria, and therefore an exemption would have to be sought from MOE to go ahead and do that. So next slide, please. So the only other recommendations here are that that we want to arrest the ongoing erosion. So there is erosion at the site. There is some silt being moved, and that means that the passageways are getting bigger. So the status quo is not you can't sit there and leave it. It's not a static situation. It's something has to be done. So if you put in a relief well, you can stop that. You can arrest the erosion, and then you'd have to run the effluent through a vacuum degasser as well, or the same problem would happen. And then finally, this is a really important one: is initiate a discussion between MOE, M&R, Norfolk County, and the Ministry of Health to try and find a solution to this. And we're recommending that the solution, whatever solution is, uses this as a baseline and saying this is where we want to go, because as the saying goes, perfect is the enemy of good, and it may be very difficult to get the numbers, the concentrations down low enough to put them in the creek, but we can get them many orders of magnitude lower than they are now. They just may never be able to get them to those levels without an absurd level of treatment. So this problem should be solvable, but it does require that some bending of the rules are made, and let's hope that can arrange. But it will require ultimately an environmental assessment if they're going to put a relief well in. So that's pretty much all I had to say.
Thank you, Stuart. Lots of information there. Is there any questions for the presenter? Councillor Columbus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been asked several times, is there any way to burn the gases off?
Oh yeah, if you can concentrate it, hydrogen sulfide is very flammable. But the problem is you can never get it to high enough concentrations. You'd have to put in basically a natural gas burner, and then you'd run it through there. But you'd still end up with a bit of a smell because it produces sulfur dioxide, and that can it smells like burnt matches. And I know I'm from Sudbury, so you smell a lot of sulfur dioxide up there. But you're better off to take it out in liquid form, precipitate it, and then throw it out, basically.
And secondly, Mr. Chair, the culvert that was wore out, I think you said it was there for a year, is that right?
About a year. The fence.
It wore out because of.
Oh yeah, and the whole bottom of the fence wore out too. A brand new chain link fence wore out 1 year.
Just like we saw that kettle.
Except it wore right through it. Like it's. I've got a picture of one in the fall of somebody standing on the culvert, and now it's foil. Or at least last I looked at it a few months ago, it was foil.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Vanadrucci next, and then Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you again for the report. It is vastly important that we address this. There's no question about that. When you were talking about your timeline, if you could refresh me a little bit, what your thoughts are of a timeline, how to resolve the situation. And first of all, I would assume, like your recommendation is that, of course, we would have to meet with MOH and all the organizations to discuss something. But your timeline, what would be an estimated timeline on how to handle this?
It's entirely up to the regulatory authorities. If you were drilling a well right now, a gas well in Alberta, and you hit this problem while drilling, they would have a vacuum degasser on and approved within a week. So it would all be. It's a normal practice. Like I said, these are all off-the-shelf pieces of equipment, and it would obviously be more than that. There'd have to be some investigations into the amount of flow it can take and all that kind of stuff, and where you're going to put the stuff, and how, you have to bring in a power line to the site. But so there are technical things that would slow it down. But technically speaking, it's a 1 or 2 month operation. But it's the regulatory hurdles. There's a large regulatory hurdle. Is that right now what's going into the creek is tens of thousands of times higher than the legal limit. You can get it down to maybe only 1,000 times the legal limit, but that's still 1,000 times the legal limit. And because it's gone through a piece of equipment, it now is expected to meet those criteria. But as I said, their exemptions can be sought, and I know that they give them. I think sewage treatment plants get those exemptions. I think they're allowed to discharge at higher rates. And so it may be possible, and I haven't spoken to MOE about it.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate that. I pose a question to Al. What are your thoughts?
No, we're going to finish the deputation first, and then
okay.
we'll put you first on the list for Al.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we realize the severity of the situation and those people living there, as well as others. And via your maps, you've indicated it's not just, we're not unique, it's different locations that have it. We're not, because I know there's thousands of wells out there, and we just don't, we need a resolution to this so that we can put the answer out there for others. So
there are thousands of wells, but this is the worst.
This is the absolute worst, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Moving on to Councillor Brunton, then Van Passen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, you mentioned in one of your slides in 1968 there were 5 wells capped? Who did that?
It would have been the precursor to Union Gas, so that would have been, I don't know if they were still Dominion Gas at the time. So they were owned by I think it was Dominion Gas, and they didn't, I think they were told to abandon the relief well because they had some involvement in it. But the point is, it was abandoned, the relief well, and their well started flowing. And we don't have much information on it, but there is one piece of information, a map basically in the records, and it's written right on the records that we expect other wells to, once we cap these, others will flow. And they showed all the others that they thought would be likely or at risk of flowing. And I presume that when they capped them, they did flow because they immediately then re-drilled the relief well. So my assumption is that they did, once they capped those 5, other wells started to flow.
So I take the ministry know or have records of every well that's drilled and capped?
Not every well, but yes, these wells, yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Van Passen.
Yes, thanks very much. Just one quick little technical question. All through your report, you talk about orders of magnitude, and I'm not used to all these specific scientific jargon. Does that mean it's twice as much?
No,
or does
10
that mean
times as much.
10 times as much?
10 times as
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions for the presentation? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to accept the presentation as information? Councillor Brunton, Councillor Michele, all those in favor? Very good, thank you. So we're going to go, do you want to do the staff presentation first before questions to you? Okay, so then we'll follow that with our presentation. It's our next steps. I'll throw it over to Bill Cridlin, who's the General Manager of Community and Development Services, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to start by thanking the Mountain Rose staff with Stu, Cam, and Louie. They've worked very hard on this project. I'd also like to thank Paula for her deputation, and I see a number of landowners over here that were very easy to work with when we were doing the last groundwater study. We had some concerns about property lines and agreements, and everybody worked very well together to get the project done, so I thank them all. My presentation will be fairly brief now. I think Stuart has covered most of what I was going to say. I'll give a little history. It was December 2021 when Matrix Solutions, who is now Mount Rose Environmental, did the first report, and that was through an RFP process. And it was to complete a project to get a better understanding of the geology and hydrogeology conditions of the site of the forestry farm well site. There was very little information known. So that first report came out with 4 options. Option 1 was to cap the well. Option 2 was to capture and treat the flow. Option 3 and 4 were to drill relief wells at different locations and treat as well. At the time, as Paul alluded to, Option 1 was chosen, and there were a few benefits to this. One, if they could find the well bore, it would have been quick to plug, and once it was plugged, the adverse conditions at the site would have went away. It also allowed Norfolk County to meet its requirements under the Ontario Oil, Gas, and Salt Reservoirs Act, and so there were some benefits. It was discussed in the original report at the time that there was still a lack of knowledge and data known from the site, and it was also noted that trying to cap the well may not work because it would be difficult, could almost be impossible to find the well bore, and that's exactly what's happened. So that's what led us to the 2024 study, which came out in the spring of 2025. So Stu did a great job. I won't repeat the 5 recommendations for the in-scope. Stu's went through those. They also mentioned 4 out-of-scope recommendations, which I thank them for because they were outside of obviously the scope of the project, but they were findings from the data and information they had that they were next logical steps, so they've included those. So from a staff perspective here, our only recommendations are that the MNR be pressed to initiate, I'm going to call it a series of meetings with the locals to explain the findings of this study and the go-forward plan. And we also need the province to take the initiative and lead on a multi-ministerial working group. And when I say that, that is the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Environment, MNR, lots of other agencies could come to mind. We just, as staff, do not have the technical maybe intelligence or in technical background to know what's needed, but we do have to get these groups together to work forward, because this is what Stu said, even the what seems like fairly simple solution of the degasser does come with a price tag of approximately $1.5 million, but you need to have the MOE there, because if you're going to discharge, they handle that. The MNRF handles other things, so it's got to be a collective go-ahead plan. Before I turn it over to council for any questions you may have, I will turn the mic over to the CAO if he has anything else to add, and if he hasn't, or if he has, we'll then turn over the floor for Norfolk Council for any questions they may have, and I've asked that the consultant sits here as well, because a lot of these questions may be geared towards them, so I thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, certainly I'll echo a lot of what Bill has said. I think since my arrival here in Norfolk, and it was clear even during my interview process that this council or the previous council had made it a priority and an urgent item for us to address. And since my arrival here, we've had multiple discussions with provincial staff and trying to ensure that it was an urgent priority for them as it is for us. We've shared with MNR the study and the recommendations that are there. They're currently reviewing it. We do have some meetings scheduled in August with the province to continue to advocate for the urgency and a go-forward plan with some timelines, and to continue to push the province to continue to provide updates to our local residents and to Norfolk in terms of what the go-forward plan is going to be. So certainly want to convey to the neighbors, to the residents, and to this council that this gas well site continues to be a priority for staff, and we are doing everything we can. We had a recent Queen's Park Day where we had done some advocacy, and the mayor and I met with the Minister of Natural Resources, and we talked about some of the urgency around the gas well and finding a solution, and our frustration that a solution hadn't been found yet. And he certainly was very attentive, gave us various commitments that he and his staff would make it a priority, and so we are going to do our very best to hold the province to that word, and that is where we're going forward with that. So with that, we're happy to take any questions that council has.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Van Riesch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. And that, Al, is kind of the point, or I just feel that we should have a timeline set up to how we approach this, because we need to come up with results rather than continuously talking about it, that we have to find a way to pressure the province, if I may, to realize how important this situation is and could be across this province. Because if you noted on the map, there's a lot of circles. So there's a lot of potential problem. How do you feel we should go about two things to put pressure on the province? What would you recommend other than just sending one letter? Is it a campaign? Is it more people reaching out? How do we do that? How do we make sure that they realize it's urgent for us?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would say that certainly continued effort. I think the days of just sending a letter to the province and asking them to pay attention to it are long past. It is specific face-to-face meetings. I would encourage residents to continue to dialogue with their MPP and ask the MPP to continue to lobby and do those efforts at the provincial level. I think we are making inroads. When I got here, the frustration was that Norfolk couldn't get the province to sort of fund a study or fund anything. We were able to get the province to put the forestry farm gas well into the abandoned works program, and whether that ultimately was a solution or not. We know now it's not, but they did take it seriously. They did fund the project. They have been working tirelessly through their contractor to find that solution. They haven't been able to cap the well with additional data we have now. It's probably a good thing that they didn't. They've given us additional funding to do the additional studies that we just completed through Montrose, and thankfully for that, now we've got more data. I think a lot of this is data driven, and it's going to be more and more difficult to not have the province react to this and act very quickly on this. I think they currently have a copy of the report. They're looking at it. They've got their experts reviewing it. And I think based on the meeting that we've got with the province in less than a month's time, and we will be advocating with the various ministries to put this in the front burner and advocating for a multi-ministerial meeting, as Bill had mentioned. So I think we are making some inroads. Not as fast as we would like, obviously. We would have liked this to be done, a decade ago or 7 years ago. But we are making progress on it, and we will continue to make it a priority.
If I may, I think there should be a bit of a blitz from residents and area residents, because I am close by as well and affected having wells, that we do send a email campaign to the minister and encourage him to take a look at what's happening. I hope you're, understanding the situation. More of us have to get on board to say something so we get something done. But we have to try to emphasize to them as well that we have to alleviate some of the problems, such as the smell. So this contraption, I'm far from a scientist, the contraption that will take it in and then relieve at least eliminate some of that smell, that makes you feel a little bit better, because it is such a hazard, and we know driving down Forestry Station Road. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping that we can get some sort of coordination so that people in the area and neighbors, everyone, do something or say something so that we can get this moving. And we have to develop a timeline when we speak to the province to say, we need some results. We can't wait another 10 years. And I thank the presenter, Paula, for all her words, because, it is dire, and it confirms the kettle theory that whatever's down there will rot, and we just don't want to be the next in line to rot. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Michelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know in our recommendation we're looking for a multi-ministerial meetings, I do have to say that in all of the length of time that we've been discussing this problem and all the possible solutions, we often refer to the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Ministry of the Environment, but as our deputation kind of pointed out, I've been always a little bit disappointed that we haven't placed perhaps more emphasis on the Ministry of Health. This is ultimately, and even if singularly, I realize the smell is an inconvenience and it's difficult in a lot of areas, but this is a health issue, and I really want to make sure that we emphasize that the Ministry of Health has got to be responsible for this, and frankly, I'm very disappointed that the Ministry of Health has not placed this as a priority when I think about all the other initiatives that the Ministry of Health has been very public about dealing with and handling, and this is one that they just seem to think that that some other ministry is going to do something about it. This is a health issue, as our deputation again pointed out, that this is serious and it needs to be taken care of, as Councillor Van den Dussche mentioned, right away. Thank you.
Councillor Van Passen.
Thanks, Chairman. A few questions that I'd like to get some of the better detail on the numbers about what would it cost to do the survey with the thermal cameras, because the timing's right for that this time of year, and the cost to install the new culvert and the weir flow measurement thing. That's a piece of equipment we already have. We just need a new place to put it, I think, if I read the report correct. So.
Yeah, through the chair of the council, I can start, and I may rely on the consultant for the infrared stuff. The culvert and the weir monitoring device will be relatively cheap. The big thing with working out the site is also having a contractor that can work under air because of the fumes. But I don't assume that putting the culvert in, I think it was discussed in the report, I think it's around $10,000 to $12,000, and that includes the price of the pipe, so relatively cheap, and we have had some discussions with the consultant and putting that in. As far as the infrared, I'm not sure if Stu, you are familiar with that technology. You'd like to take a stab at it? The mic is yours, because I really don't have, I can't ballpark that.
We already did a survey. We just, what we're proposing to do is go down the river and find, the survey is focused on the Spanger Springs site and the Forestry Farm Road site, and that was done with M&R, but we didn't do the river. We weren't expecting the river to be a problem, and it turns out now we think that the river is actually, luckily the survey went far enough on and covered part of the river, and we noticed that there were hits on the river. So we're thinking that the river basically from the bridge right down to beyond Forestry Farm Road needs to be done. And I'm thinking that's $50,000 to $100,000 in there to do that. So, does that answer the question?
Hey, thank you.
And one more question, how about the degasser? What would that cost to install?
Through the chair of the council, it's in the report. Between the degasser and being able to collect it, it's pegged at about $1.5 million. And we had another consultant, Mr. Frank Curry, working with us to price that out. I think that's a bit of a ballpark, because we'd have to get hydro to the site, which we don't have, and some permitting to get that. But I think if we said 1.5, that's a good number to start with.
Okay. Because I guess the follow-up is like the thermal imaging, again, if I read this all right, now this time of year is the best time to do it because you have warmer water in the creek than you would the cold water that's coming from the spring. So, you know, that might not wait for a bunch of bureaucrats from several different ministries to decide it's okay. And, you know, would we have money in a budget somewhere that we could just go ahead and do that? And, you know, installing the new culvert and the measurement on that, you know, it's $10,000, $20,000. Do we have that money somewhere to get that done? Because that's all critical information that our consultant says they need. And can we just move forward with that and whine to the province later about getting our money back, because it is a priority? And, you know, is there room in any of the budgets anywhere or council initiative reserve to sort of commit to get started on at least those two items? I'd love to install the degasser, but that's a bit more of a price tag, and you know, I'd be happy to just install it and then have the Ministry of Environment tell us that we have to turn it off and take it out. I'd like to see that happen, but I don't want to spend $1.5 million, but I don't mind spending $100,000 to get a couple of these things started and rolling that we need done.
I can start the conversation through the chair. I do love your initiative, Councillor, to get things moving. I look at getting the culvert installed. I think that's something that, look at our finance folks, I don't think we would break the bank to get that in. However, once you get that in, it's got a measuring device, which then measures the flow, and that is where we'll need some technical advice on what are we measuring and how do you measure, and what does an increase of 10-fold mean, let's say, in a day? Is that we got a problem, or is that just a natural? So that's why I think we need a little more technical advice at the table when it comes to the monitoring. But as far as installing the pipe can be done, it's the back door or the after that. How do you monitor it? What does it mean? And what are we looking for?
Thank you, Bill. Councillor Columbus?
Great.
And then Hoffman's next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We heard CAO Al Menzies mention that letters to the province are long past. I agree. But today, we heard two powerful presentations here, one from Paula and one from Stuart, that provides a lot of the details. And I just wonder if you're going to meet with these other Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Health, even Ministry of Natural Resources at AMO, if you could send them a copy of what we heard today, just to make sure that they're fully aware of what's going on. I think that would help, just to prepare them how important this is to Norfolk County and the residents. Is that possible?
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely. We're actually doing a little different this year at AMO, where we're actually providing a QR code through a postcard that we're leaving with the ministers, and within that there's a link to various information that we're asking for from the province, and we can certainly attach a link to this meeting and time code it so that they can go directly to the deputations and hear it firsthand as well.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Columbus. Councillor Huffman.
Thank you, Chair Very. Through you, I just wanted to actually both Councillor Columbus and Councillor Van Passen kind of took what I was going to say. I'm definitely in favor of jump starting. Don't want to foot the whole bill. I feel that's the province's responsibility, but I think that we do have some funds available that we can get some things started. And I just wanted to confirm with our CAO for AMO, have meetings actually been set up, or are we just thinking that they're going to happen? I think it's our due diligence to let the public know that we've taken action to get these meetings set up for AMO and hopefully have some results.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, the requests have gone forward. We have started receiving confirmation of meetings. I'm not sure which ones, but I think we've got probably about 6 or 7 already booked, but all 3, Ministry of Health, Ministry of the Environment, and Ministry of Natural Resources, are on our request, specifically to discuss the forestry farm gas well and next steps. And so I will have confirmation the next week or so, and that will become public as well as we post that information. But I will say that in the past, despite us getting or not getting meetings with various ministries, we are always looking throughout the hallways and sharing information with those ministers. I will say that our mayor has some good relationships with the ministers themselves, and on a staffing level, we've got some relationships with some of the ministerial staff as well. And so our intent is, regardless of one way or another, whether we have an official meeting with those 3 ministries or not just yet, and I can't confirm whether we do or not, but our intent would be to seek them out and find them and provide that information and put a bug in their ear in regards to setting up a meeting. I will say that between the mayor and myself, we are also looking at setting up another day at Queen's Park sometime in the fall for us to go specifically to meet with the individual ministries that are in question here to continue to advocate for some action on the province on moving this file forward.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councillor Huffman. Any other questions for staff? Okay, so do I have a mover for the staff recommendation or something else, since we've sort of had some other ideas? Who's got a motion? Just staff recommendation then? Councillor Van Passen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to give direction to staff on those couple of items to at least start on it. I know it'll be September before, but we can install the cover, we can install the equipment, and if there's more to it and we need to fund the monitoring, at least a unit will be installed there. And the thermal imaging, again, is there a room for, I think the consultant thought about 50 grand would do it. I think if we need to, we can pull that from the council initiative reserve or something to that effect. But can we give staff direction to start on that now? And if they run into roadblocks, it'll be September before it's reported back. But if we can get it done, get it done. So.
Is that a staff direction thing, or do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, yes, please, Mr. Chair. If council could give staff direction, we can come back in September, certainly start the process, understanding the pulse of council right now, and we'll bring back a fulsome report in September in terms of what we can do, what it would cost, and then what we've already done to get started.
So do you have sufficient direction then, do you, Bill? We're good? Okay.
So on top of that, I'd be happy to move the staff recommendation then.
So I'm sorry. Okay, we're good. Yeah, okay, thank you. So Councillor Van Passen moves, seconded by Councillor Van Adrici. Any additional discussion? Good, seeing none. All in favor? Thank you very much. It's carried. I'm going to go back to the agenda there. It's the approval of minutes now. May I have a motion to approve the following minutes as presented? Oh, I guess we'll give everyone a chance to clear out. Just 1 second here. Yep, take 5. Do you want 5? Do you want 10? 10. Take 10.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for my tardiness earlier today. I had some matters that came up that required my attention, but thank you to Councillor Very for stepping in. The clerk has informed me that according to our procedural bylaw, once the mayor or deputy mayor arrives, they must take over. So thank you for your work. Let's get rolling. I understand we're at item 10, reports of committee of the whole. Councillor Van Passen has requested to pull agenda item 10.2, CIC minutes.
I'm so sorry. We have to still approve the minutes.
From 9.1?
Yeah, that's why I wrote, we are here on the thing.
Yeah, no, I changed it, sorry.
Okay.
The clerk changed it on me. My apologies. Okay, so I then am looking for a motion to approve the following minutes from 9.1 council meeting minutes, June 24, 2025. Is there a mover in Councillor Michelli and seconded by Councillor Councillor Brunton? Any discussion, errors or omissions? Call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Sorry. Item 10, committee reports of committee of the whole. Councillor Van Passen, I understand you have requested to pull item 10.2, CIC minutes from July 8th, 2025. Item 8.5.4, the whistleblower waste and fraud hotline report for discussion. I'll turn the floor to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I mentioned this at CNC. I just wonder whether we are actually trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist and will just create more problems. And if there are other members of councils who have thought through this or got some feedback on it, and whether we could consider revoting on that issue, I would appreciate it.
Okay, turning the floor to council. I see Councillor Van Adrishi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you as well. I have heard comments. I don't feel this is necessary. I think we should rethink this one. It is just will create animosity out there. We've got, we just don't need this, and I agree with you, Councillor Van Passen. Is there a problem that we have to deal with, or are we trying to jump ahead on something that doesn't really exist?
Councillor Huffman, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Chair Duffy. I just wanted to say that if there's no issues to report, then the hotline will be very quiet. I have had feedback from individuals in the community who think this is a good idea. And remember that we're looking at it internally first before it launches to the public. And I think that in terms of, if I can use the mayor's words from a couple weeks ago, the maturity of our organization and the transparency, that this is something that we need to move forward with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Huffman. Councillor Columbus.
Yes, I tend to agree with Councillor Van Passen and Van Driesche. This is something I voted against in the committee meeting. I've had some communication over this. I was surprised, actually, the number of people that heard about this whistleblower thing. And they're asking me why and what is going on that we don't know about. So I've been on council, this term of council, and it's probably one of the most questions I've had about in the last couple weeks since the last meeting. Thanks.
Any further comments? Yep, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point. What effect does this have on morale of staff if we have to have one staff member snitching or sneaking around the corner to see what someone else is doing? Is this good for morale? Is my question to the rest of my councillors.
Councillor Berry.
Well, I mean, maybe not, but I would counter that it's equally not good for morale to have no mechanism where staff feels safe to come forward and report issues. That's bad too, is to be stuck in this position where you know, you'd like to say something, but you're concerned and don't have you don't feel like it's well, like you say, if you feel like you're snitching instead of doing the right thing. So you know, it's not snitching if they're reporting an issue that's legitimate. So I'm going to not change my vote.
Any further comments? I have some thoughts, but I'll turn the floor to council at this point if there's anything further. Yes, Councillor Columbus, go ahead.
Could we get a recorded vote on this one, Mr. Chair?
Certainly. I would just say my comments are, I think this is truthfully, the logical next step in the evolution of our municipality. I think it's important that we try to think ahead for the remainder of this term and subsequent terms. And based on the size and scale of the municipality, the size of the corporation at this point, I think it is important to have a very robust cross-section of safeguards in place to protect the municipality, to protect the taxpayers of the municipality, and I think this is one of the steps that helps us move in that direction. So that's my comments at this point. Councillor Michelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think at this stage we're pretty much all reiterating our previous comments when we originally voted on this, and I guess I'll do the same. This is only for staff, as Councillor Very pointed out. While yes, I don't know what effect it will have on morale, I don't know. I believe our CAO did indicate at that time that this is something we can try, do, staff only for now, and see how it works out. And I think I did mention previously we already have a Service Norfolk opportunity for people to suggest improvements for the way the county does things and that kind of thing. So that's already there. This may be just a little further opportunity again to protect and to enhance the performance of our county. And if it doesn't work out, we can end it.
Okay, Councillor Brunton, and I would just say at this time there is not currently a motion on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll go back to, I think it was Councillor Columbus mentioned the boxes that are going to be placed around the county, if not already. Are they, when people put suggestions in there, they do not sign them, do they? They don't have to sign them. They can put in whatever they want, and it can be addressed by whomever, yourself, perhaps the county manager, if they see something that they suspect, and you would investigate that anyways, would you not?
So we'll turn to the county manager. I think, or the CAO, my apologies. These are two very separate issues.
Well, they are, but I mean, is that not a whistleblower? If somebody is telling you that, hey, John Doe, or they thought they saw somebody take some money someplace, who knows?
So through you, Mr. Chair, thank you. No, we're talking about two different things. So the suggestion box is looking for an opportunity, and part of what we're doing is defining that program now and rolling it out. And the intent is for staff to provide suggestions, recommendations, observations on how to save the county money, improve operations, improve efficiencies. And we will be asking people to put some names around that so they can be rewarded if ultimately some of the suggestions come forward and we deem it worthy of implementing those suggestions and they result in savings. Our intent would be to reward those employees for coming forward with some of those suggestions and process improvements. What we're talking about, a whistleblower, is the ability for someone to anonymously call in to a third-party provider that we have for a minimal cost, and then we would provide the opportunity to investigate. The importance of the anonymity is paramount here, because while you might have some staff observing some things right now, there isn't an ability for them to do that anonymously now. Through a hotline, it gives them the ability to do that anonymously. And our hope is, and I have no reason to believe that there's anything happening now, but our hope is if there is some things happening and we're not aware of them, staff will have the courage to anonymously put that forward, to start an investigation, and we can weed that out and identify whether or not there's fraud or abuse happening. But the key with the whistleblower is it's anonymous.
Thank you.
Councillor Van Passen.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry if my intention wasn't clear. I was offering to put the same motion on the floor as what was dealt with at CNC.
So I would just look to the clerk. My understanding is we need, because it's already in the minutes, I thought I understood that we need a motion to rescind the previous motion that was there. Mr. Clerk.
These are just recommendations from the committee to council. now we're dealing with it, right? So,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think Councillor Van Passen's correct. Either approach would work, but because they haven't been adopted yet by council, you could revisit that resolution or revisit that recommendation from CIC if you wanted to as well.
yeah, that was my intention, in fairness to the committee. I just was going to put the same motion on the floor and vote on it, right?
Okay, so if you could just clearly repeat for us then.
The motion presented there was that CAO-25-076 whistleblower waste and fraud hotline report be received as information, and that council approved the creation of a waste and fraud hotline to allow Norfolk County employees and community members to have a discreet and effective way to report inefficiencies and incidents of wrongdoing, with option 2 in the staff report.
Okay, so is there a seconder then for that motion? Councillor Berry, go
I
ahead.
need some clarification. So we're revoting on the same motion?
Vote on the recommendation that came from the committee 2 weeks ago, right?
Right, so that motion that that recommendation that you're moving says we are going to create it.
I could offer some more.
Okay, so you're moving that.
So
Okay.
perhaps just for the point of clarification, I'll turn to the clerk. Thanks, Councillor Berry.
Just to provide some clarity, hopefully, if the motion was worded that the council now rescind the committee recommendation that was approved for piloting the internal whistleblower waste and fraud hotline as passed at the July 8th, 2025 CIC meeting, would capture everything, I believe.
So, Councillor Van Passen, is that somewhat in your words?
Well, I'm going to vote against it, but I was trying to do the nice thing and just bring forward the same motion to see if other people had changed their mind or had enough input from the public. So whatever keeps the clerk happy, I'm content with.
Always best. Okay, so we're going to take Councillor Van Passen's intention, couple it with the words of the clerk then, and I would look for a seconder for that, which is then to rescind the work of CIC committee from earlier. So, that you are seconding that, Councillor Van Andrishi? Okay. There is a motion then to second, so the motion is officially on the floor. Debate or discussion, turn to Councillor Michelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for further clarity, because I think I just had, I'm not sure if I heard the clerk correctly. We are now, the motion is to rescind the motion from the CIC meeting, correct? Thank you.
Yes, so that was 8.5.4 in the minutes, and that motion says that council approves the creation of a waste and fraud hotline to allow Norfolk County employees and community members to have a discreet and effective way to report inefficiencies and incidents of wrongdoing, with option 2 in the staff report that was previously carried at CIC. There is a motion currently on the floor, moved by Councillor Van Passen and seconded by Councillor Van Andrishi, to rescind that previous motion. We are at the discussion and debate stage of the current motion on the floor. Is there anything further? Correct. Yep. That's right. Yep. Okay, seeing none, a recorded vote has been called. I'll turn it to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. As it was requested by Councillor Columbus, we'll start with him. And please answer yay or nay to the motion.
Yay to rescind.
Councillor Brunton.
Yes.
Councillor Huffman.
No.
Councillor Michelli.
Nay.
Councillor Van Passen.
Could you read that motion again, please, in its entirety?
I will. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, that the council rescind the committee recommendation to council on piloting the internal whistleblower waste and fraud hotline, and that was passed on July 8th, 2025 in the council and committee meeting.
Yes.
Councillor Berry.
Nay.
Councillor Van Andrishi.
Yay.
And Deputy Mayor Duthie.
Nay. Okay, on a tie vote of 4-4, that motion is defeated. So, therefore, I would be looking for a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole minutes as presented. Moved by Councillor Huffman, seconded by Councillor Michelli. Is there any debate or discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Still defeated. Or defeated, right? Yes. So therefore we have to deal with this all over again. Okay, we're not going to make any headway at this point, folks. Mr. Clerk? Bear with us one moment. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Van Andrieschie.
It is all in how one poses a question in a tie vote, how you win the vote. Should it not be that it is so controversial in the sense it's divided equally, that it should come back to us with further explanation and better information? Because otherwise, all it is doing is creating the motion that is created wordily or verbally in the proper sense to get your yay or nay.
Fair point. Appreciate that. I think some discussion up at this table at this moment in time has been that we would instead turn this back, look for council to make a motion to defer that item to a subsequent meeting where we have all members present in an ideal world and can allow the opportunity to have a full comprehensive vote with all members voting and have a clear delineation. So with that said, I would look for a motion to defer the section of the minutes that relates to 8.5.4 from that CIC meeting. Moved by Councillor Michelli, seconded by Councillor Van Andrieschie. There is no discussion on the deferral, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Councillor Huffman, just if you can maybe turn your mic on, I just want to confirm that you weren't asking to speak, you were just ready to vote, correct?
Oh, yes, just raising my hand.
Okay, thank you. With that, again, I'll call the question once again. All those in favor of that deferral? Opposed, if any? Seeing none? Okay, that is carried. So that item has been deferred at this time until a subsequent meeting, which likely is in September. At this time, I would look for a mover for the balance of the minutes, except section 8.5.4 from that, from both the PHC Committee of July 3rd, 2025 and CIC July 8, 2025, again, with the exception of section 8.5.4. Is there a mover for those minutes? That's moved by Councillor Van Andrieschie and seconded by Councillor Very. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Huffman. Okay, we're going to move on to section 11, reports of advisory committees. Councillor Brunton has requested to pull agenda item 11.1, which is the Simcoe BIA meeting minutes of May 14, 2025 for discussion. Councillor Brunton, turn the floor to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess the BIA committee's been asked to use a lot of the reserve funds for various projects, and I have a list myself, but I think our treasurer, Amy Fanny, said she had a slide we could put up on the screen to show all the expenditures, and I can certainly try and clarify some of them as we go down the list if council wishes. So
thank you, Councillor Very. Just before we get there, and certainly no problem, I just want to confirm which section of the minutes this relates
Well-
to.
There's two sets of minutes here, and it would be, okay, let me get the right ones here.
In the May 14 minutes.
Clerk would maybe have a better.
8.8C? Is that the,
11 point, what agenda are you looking at? What BIA?
it's item number 1
Yes.
in the reports of committee, and that is the May 14 minutes of the Simcoe BIA. There is another meeting from June the 11th. I'm just wondering if specifically the item that you're referring to is contained within which sets of minutes, so that we
If
understand
I could
fully.
ask the clerk, what item was that? In which set of minutes? I have a separate sheet here to go over, but.
Through the chair, if it's helpful, I believe it's 9F in the minutes from the 14th.
9F?
Requesting reserve funds and the use of reserve funds. So council should be directed to the minutes of May 14th, which is the first item to, and within those sets of minutes, it's 9F.
Okay, I believe both of them show a $75,000 request. And I'd like to go over the list if I may. And I think if Amy could put that up on the board so council are clear on what we're requesting for the BIA.
To the treasurer?
Through the chair, yes, I believe the clerk's team has put that up. So it starts on page 5 there on the screens and carries over onto page 6. And the second paragraph lists the items that the BIA would like to request.
Okay, so I see, yes, it looks like there is a request of an additional $75,000 to $100,000 then coming from their reserves. And the items, amendment of $75,000 of additional dollars from the reserve funds to be added to the approved 2025 operating budget. The funds be used for the purchase and installation of a digital sign in the amount of $43,900. Purchase of a streetwide Christmas light banner of $8,000. Purchase of 8 additional planters for Colburn Street worth $4,500. Relocation of existing planters and the installation of new planters, including the addition of soil and proper drainage of $8,000, and the additional cost for planting 14 planters for 2025 of $10,600. Is that anything further to add to that, Councillor Brunton? Is that an exhaustive list?
Well, yeah, I'd like to clarify what has already been spent, if I may.
Yep.
The 14 new street level planters have been purchased. That is done, received on April 29th. We purchased a 40-foot storage container, and with the good grace of Mr. Cridlin, we have that stored down on the Public Works yard at the south end of town, and that replaces 2 rental containers that we had, which will save us substantially over the course of time. Street lighting on the post downtown is an estimate right now, but it's around 15,000. We are hoping, and we don't have the figures yet because we're looking at paving on the Argyle Street parking lot down by Riverside 83. There's some grassed areas we'd like to improve upon down there to better beautify the area. But that has not been paved yet, and we haven't got that work finalized, if I can use that word. The new wayfinding directional signage, we have the banner is purchased, so that will take place shortly. 8 new street level planters on Colburn Street. Sidewalks are being done over there now, if you've been through town. These are based on the Norfolk Street costs. We're hoping to still do that, the BIA. And we're going to do some new Christmas lighting. The last one I'm not sure about, and Mr. Cridlin has spoken with Mr. Anderson about the digital sign on Norfolk Street, so I'd like to pass that over to him. And that's a substantial cost of around $43,900. So I really don't know where the status of that stands. So.
Mr. Cridland, are you able to speak to that item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through County Council. Yes, I've had some preliminary discussions with Mr. Anderson on this, and Not to sound like a bureaucrat here, but the request for the messenger, or for the sign crosses many different departments. Bylaw has some concerns because it's going to be lit up and there are tenants going to be located above the sign. Obviously, our public works folks will want to know the exact location of the sign because they will have locates underneath the messenger sign, and that's problematic if you install over top. There's also the whole idea of, is it an easement or is it an encroachment permit to be in there? And if we get into easements and encroachments and discussions like that in agreements, we could be 6 to 8 months out. I know Les wasn't too happy about that, but it will take us some time to pull the group together and just go through this. So at the present time, we've had preliminary discussions. I, for one, have not seen a diagram. I don't know the height. I don't know what permits are needed, but we are in discussions, and I can't see staff being ready to approve for at least probably 6 months on that project, if that helps you, Councillor.
Okay, so the original request is for around $75,000, and I'm not sure, I guess, talking to our treasurer, just to add to the problem they have, they are not happy with the garbage issue in the downtown. We've had Mr. Reagan over and Marissa Bukla, and we've discussed that, and I think we're going to take some action on that. So I guess my question would be, if can we still apply for the $75,000 now, or would you like some of that removed? I guess I'd ask that question of Amy Fanning.
Okay, I wonder, we certainly can go to the treasurer. I have some questions, and I suspect that I'm not alone. I'll maybe just start with the obvious one, and then we'll go to Councillor Van Adrishi. Some of these items you're saying have already been bought.
Yes.
With what money? If it's not in the approved, this is what I'm just trying to understand, is
Yeah.
There was already a reserve allocation included within the budget, so.
Well, we have an overall budget of 200 and something thousand, and maybe Councillor Berry can step in on this, but we are, I'll say, halfway through the year, and some of these things are money saving actually, and the planters, some of these things have been budgeted for, but we do need the additional funding to complete the budget for the year.
Okay.
With the exception of the digital sign issue.
Okay. I guess, sorry, Councillor Van Adrishi, just pardon for 1 second here. So your request today, Councillor Brunton, is a motion to approve the requested amendment of $75,000. Is that your intention?
I would like to see that done now, and if there's a problem with that later on, I mean, it's not that we're going to spend it on something else. We're going to retain it and do it.
All right, so just in the interest of moving things forward procedurally, we'll say that's a motion from Councillor Brunton. I'll look for a seconder for said motion, then we'll have further discussion and ask for the clerk's or the treasurer's opinion. So seconded by Councillor Very. Councillor Very, did you want to speak to it first, or am I able to go to the floor?
Well,
As a seconder, you would have the opportunity, but
I don't want to jump ahead of Councillor Van Adrishi, so I do want to speak to it, but she's like jumping down.
Okay, Councillor Van Adrishi, please go ahead.
I am jumping up and down. I need clarification. I'm hearing different things.
Right.
There is a reserve fund for the Simcoe BIA. They have their own reserve fund. What they're asking is to be able to dip into that reserve fund to be able to put it in their budget of this year, is what the request is. So it's their money of the BIA. They just want to be advanced out of their purse of $75,000. Am I clear in saying that? It is not coming out of the general coffers. No. It is not coming from the public. It is coming out of the Simcoe BIA reserve fund.
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Van Adrishi, yes, that's correct. So the Simcoe BIA has their own reserve funds, but this particular transfer wasn't included in their budget as it was approved by Council. And so they need approval from Council to amend their budget, which in this case they'd like to do with funding from that reserve fund.
Perfectly fine. Thank you.
With respect, I think we'll go to Councillor Very first, and then Councillor Michelli.
Is that with respect to me or with respect to Councillor Michelli? Okay. So I have a question though. What is the rule on, if it's approved for a specific, so we approve the bulk of it is for this sign, and it turns out that the sign can't go forward. does that money come back to the reserve, or is the BIA able to spend it on something else? I want to be really clear about that money doesn't become just general funds, correct?
Correct. I think we'll turn that to the treasurer.
Through the deputy mayor, so if council wants to approve the use for a specific purpose, and the BIA has requested for a specific purpose, then that would be what they're restricted to use those funds for. However, as Mr. Cridland's indicated, it could be 6 months before staff are able to approve that digital sign request. It might be more appropriate for that portion of the request to be deferred to the 2026 budget ask, and they could include the funding from the reserve to come out as part of the 2026 budget, and not ask for that part right now today, if that's council's purview.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I was initially going with then. You know what, I don't want to tell them what to ask for and what not to ask for, me personally. So if they're asking for the 75, I'm fine to vote on that today and let that be what goes, with the understanding if that sign does not go, that money comes back to the reserve. I don't want to restrict them on, sorry, you can't ask for that. No, they can, but in my view. But anyways, that's where I'm at. So I want to make sure that's really specifically to that ask. Okay. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Michele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to our finance staff, Ms. Fanning. What is the total amount in the BIA reserve?
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Michele, we are still working through the 2024 audit for year end for the BIA, so I don't have an up-to-date number as of 2024 audit, but I can tell you that at the end of 2023, they had 273,367 in that reserve.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything further from the floor? Councillor Van Passen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was debating whether we could amend the motion and, reduce the 75 to 35 or specify that 45,000 was assigned. But I do have faith in the members of the BIA. I do think that they spend their money wisely. And if they don't quite get it in 2025, because it takes some time to get all the details worked out, it ends up in the surplus, and they can either put it back in the reserve or they can deal with it, and part of the surplus can be part of the carryover budget for 2026 and get it done then. But I do have some confidence in the members, so I will be happy to support the motion on the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Van Passen. So if we can maybe just put that motion back up to the Clerk's Department. Councillor Very is the seconder and Councillor Brunton is the mover. I wonder if you're open to perhaps a friendly amendment amongst yourselves to include language that says that the amount will be returned, provided it's not able to take place in this budget year. That's fine with you, Councillor Very? Yes. Councillor Brunton, the same?
You want it returned?
Back to the reserve if it's not spent. Okay. Perfect. There is a motion on the floor. It's moved by Councillor Brunton and seconded by Councillor Very, which I think we're putting back on the screen. We're trying. There we go. It is before you now. We're just going to add the addition that should it not be fulfilled in this fiscal year, it would be returned to the reserve. Okay, everyone sees it there before you. You've had a chance to read it. I will call the question. All those in favor? And those opposed, if any? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Councillor Brunton and Councillor Very, for bringing that forward for the BIA. At this point, I would then look for a mover to receive the minutes from the advisory committees and local boards for information. So that would include then the balance of 11.1, the BIA, 11.2, the Grand River Conservation Authority, 11.3, Long Point Region, 0.4, Long Point Region, 0.5, Simcoe BIA, 0.6, Norfolk Agricultural Advisory, 0.7, Sustainability Advisory, 0.8, Heritage Advisory, 9, Economic Development Advisory, and 10, Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Moved then by Councillor Michele, seconded by Councillor Columbus. Any further discussion on any of those? Seeing none, call the question then, please. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you. We'll move forward to the staff reports section of our agenda. We'll go to item 12.1, Corporate Services Division, 12.1.1, December 31st, 2024, Investment Update and Policy Revision. It is report CS 25-089. I would turn to Mr. Duncan McCauley, Payables and Cash Management Analyst, to introduce his report.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair to Committee, the purpose of this report is to provide an update on the investment activity of Norfolk County as of December 31st, 2024. This report has two key areas: results for 2024 investments and review of the county's corporate investment policy. The county's total investment return in 2024 was $21.1 million, or 7.2%. Short and medium-term portfolio brought in $11.9 million, and the legacy portfolio brought in $9.2 million. 2024 represents a very successful year for the county's investment portfolios. Strong performance is attributed to high interest rates, solid performance of the Canadian equity market, and elevated investment balances leading to sizable returns. 2024 short-term investments had a 4.86% return, or $2.38 million, which was lower than the 5.21 from 2023. This is attributed to the fall in the Bank of Canada policy rate, which went from 5% to 3.25% in 2024. 2024 medium-term investments had a 5.58% or $9.53 million return. This was higher than the 4.55 from 2023. Purchases of longer-term GICs, while rates were favorable, and adding only principal protected notes with a guaranteed rate of return led to the increase. 2024, the legacy fund had a return of 11.36% or $9.16 million. The Canadian equities lifted the legacy portfolio throughout all of 2024. The strategy for the legacy fund was reevaluated in 2024 and 2025, which brought changes to the investment management services provider, policy, reporting, and portfolio mix. 2025 year-to-date return as of June 30th was 3.9% or $3.13 million. As a final step in the comprehensive review of the county's investment strategies, a number of key changes are being recommended to the corporate investment policy. The changes are based on a review of comparative municipalities and to formalize some limitations currently followed within the county's current process. Major changes include investment limitations and investment trading authority. So investment limitations, the current policy does not restrict the amounts able to be held by institution types or an individual institution. For the revised policy, instead of restricting investments by type, staff are recommending formalizing institutional categories and individual limits. In addition, a 2-year limit is also being placed for investments with credit unions. These limits have been followed by staff within the last few years, and adding these key elements to the policy will ensure these requirements continue to be followed. In the investment trading authority, the current policy lists any individual assigned responsibility by the treasurer was permitted to engage in investment transactions. Procedures for effective control were required to be developed and maintained by the treasurer. In the revised policy, it requires authorization by 2 individuals for investment transactions and specifies the positions, which include treasurer, deputy treasurer, payables and cash management analyst, or mayor. Procedures for effective control are still required to be developed and maintained by the treasurer. There were several other minor wording and housekeeping adjustments made to the policy too. As county staff are already following the provisions outlined above, it is anticipated this will not impact returns of the short or medium-term portfolio. And then with that, we are open to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. McCauley. Good report. Lots of valuable information in there. Is there questions from council? Seeing none, I think you must have done a good job. Well done. So with that said, then I think we require a mover of the staff recommendation. It is published on the screen for all to see. Councillor Brunton, I see your hand as the mover. Is there a seconder? Seconded, I'll take Councillor Van de Driesche on this one. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. McCauley. Okay, 12.1.2, summary of recent operating surpluses and debt avoidance, report CS 25-111. I will turn it over to our wonderful treasurer, Director of Financial Management and Planning, Ms. Amy Fanning.
Thank you, and through you to Council. This is a quick memo in response to some of the questions that came up during CIC a couple of weeks ago. Some of the questions that were asked we felt were important, and we wanted to make sure that a more thorough answer was brought forward. And I don't always get to come with good news, so I was kind of excited to bring this one and to share that over the past 3 years, operating surpluses have avoided $22.6 million in debt, which would have also brought $9.7 million in interest payments over the life of the loans that would have been required had we not had those surpluses. And so there are some more details included in the memo, but those are the key points that we just wanted to share with council. That the key is that using the surplus to avoid debt in the long run also mitigates levy increases, because we're not having the interest and the debt servicing costs that comes with it. So we can reduce those levy increases over years to come. And so that's a key win. Additional questions were also asked about some metrics that we could share to break down some financial information a little bit differently. So we have met on those and we are working through that, but for the moment, we just wanted to share that more detailed information. We're also working with Comms to issue a press release of the same. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
All right, absolutely. Appreciate the information that was shared. Is there questions of council? Another easy one for the finance team today. Look at that. 2 for 2. Well done. Is there a mover, please, for the staff recommendation? It is before you on the screen. Moved by Councillor Very, seconded by Councillor Van de Driesche. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. There is nothing in the Public Works Department today. We will move over, though, to 12.3, Community and Development Services. 12.3.1, Bid Award, Canoe Purchasing Cooperative Purchase of 2 2025 Class 6 trucks, Budget Amendment, CDS 25-013. And I will turn it over to Mr. Bill Critland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to County Council, Jordan Gallant, the Manager of Fleet Services, was scheduled to present this. However, he had a work emergency, so I'll do my best. Bid award canoe purchasing cooperative for 2025 Class 6 truck is a budget amendment, unfortunately. There's 2 reasons this report's going in front of you today. One is the budget amendment. We had budgeted $116,000 for these trucks, and they came in at $127,000. The second reason it's in front of you today is generally reports like this will go through the SOBAR reporting monthly. However, due to the closing of the tender and the timing, we weren't able to make the July SOBAR, and if we wait till the September SOBAR, we're going to lose out on getting our units, believe it or not, in November of 2025 versus probably Q2 of 2026. That is key for this report because the 2 units being replaced, one is a 2011 and one is a 2009 1-ton. Both have, one has over 300,000 kilometers on it, one is got close to 300,000 kilometers on it. With our new asset management plan, the life cycle on these trucks is 10 years, so both of these are considerably over that. One truck will be used by the Parks Department, one truck will be used by the Roads Department. And I think the only thing I will add is generally, or in the past historically for the 1 tons, we've went with a Class 3 vehicle. These are actually a Class 6, and this is where I may not have all the answers on what the difference is between a Class 3 and a 6. I can tell you the 6 is a larger unit. It's heavier. It will come licensed from the MTO and CVOR compliance to haul anything we need. Sometimes in the past with the larger ball diamond graders and lawnmowers, we were at a position where when we would weigh, we would be very close to the weight of the truck. So this results in savings that we do not have to increase licensing on these. They come for that. So it's probably more, the vehicle is probably more suited for what the duties are. I think the only other thing I'll add is mechanics have inspected these units. Both units are going for their annual MTO in November, and we'll receive the new ones before that, so we will be saving maintenance dollars on an annual MTO, which covers all components of the truck, and it's not uncommon to have to spend $5,000 to $6,000 on a truck this style to get it compliant for the next year. So with that, I'll turn it over to County Council for any questions they may have.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from Council? Councillor Van Adrishi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. So these are Class 6, which are the heavier trucks that can take about 20,000 pounds. Am I correct in saying that?
Through the chair to the councillor, this will be my downfall presenting this report. I don't know those specs, but they are a larger truck, and they're still very usable for staff in all locations. They do haul more weight. There's no doubt about it.
But the question is, they're not 1 tons. They're not 1-ton trucks. They're a Class 6, which can carry a heavier load and can be more versatile in your fleet.
Through the chair, to answer your question, that's yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Can understand the price increase. It seems to occur with from pickup truck to heavy duty. So unfortunately, it happens.
Councillor Van Passen is jumping at the bit here to talk about this. He knows I love hearing about the size of trucks. Go on.
Oh, where I could go with that one. But, no, I think I brought this up before that I was going to thank Bill and his staff for, they opened the tender a little bit because we've seen this happen before where, for just a little bit of money more, you can get twice the truck. And I think that's the case here, that, a 1-ton, generally, I think it's like a pickup truck that's got bigger springs on it. That's the Class 3 version. The Class 6 is a dump truck that's downsized a little bit. So you're getting a lot better. For an extra $9,000, you're getting twice the truck. When you start hauling trailers around, yes, the normal 1-ton or the normal half-ton can pull that trailer. Might not be able to stop it, but it can pull it okay. And you'll pound out the frames and you'll do all of that. And I was going to compliment Bill and his staff that, they've opened the tender. They had the option of going with the regular 1-ton or this one, and this one is a little bit more money, but you're getting twice the truck for it. So I fully support it and be happy to move the staff recommendation and get this done so we can have these delivered before winter time. So.
Exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Very. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. We'll move forward then, still within the Community and Development Services Department, to item 12.3.2, Development Applications at NPL 2025-219, Gardens of Delhi. It is report CDS 25-014. Turn over to Planner Mr. Fabian Serra to introduce his report. My apologies, my notes said Fabian. To you, Ms. Bowden.
Just a few words of introduction here. Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council. The proposal that's before you today will realign an existing draft plan of subdivision, the lot depth, street alignment, and amend unit counts, and lastly, remove 2 parkettes in the configuration. As mentioned earlier in PHC, there were some last-minute changes to this proposal, which originally goes back to 2023. What you have before you here today is a revised and most recent proposal, which Fabian will describe in further detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Bowden. So through you, through the chair. So there's an application for a red line draft plan of subdivision application as well as a zoning bylaw amendment. In terms of the unit counts are being reduced from 368 units to 366 units. And Table 1 of the report provides an in-depth analysis as to which types of units are going up and down. But in total, there's a grand reduction of 2 total units going in terms of being reduced. For the zoning, the purpose is to rezone the 2 parts within the draft plan of subdivision. They're being rezoned from open space to residential zonings to convert those 2 lots to be residential dwellings, as well as technical updates to the special provisions to implement the draft plan of subdivision red line amendments for the realignment of the roads, the proposed lot depths, unit counts, and the removal of the 2 park blocks. This application was heard earlier today from in regards to the public hearing, and we received no comments from members of the public. We did receive some questions from council. Ultimately, essentially, this is a technical update to the previous draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment that council previously approved in 2023. Staff are recommending approval for this zoning application. Are available for any questions that you may have. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there questions from council? Okay, seeing none, would look for some direction from council, whether that is the staff recommendation. Councillor Van Adrishi, you're moving the recommendation?
Yes, I am staff recommendation.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Councillor Columbus, any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right, moving along, 12.3.3, development application ZNPL 2025-134 to amend the zoning bylaw for 310 10th Concession Road, Geographic Township of North Walsingham. It is report CDS 25-022. And I think in this case, I am going directly to Kendall. Ms. Kendall Wharton will be the planner and will introduce her report.
Thank you. Through the chair, the subject lands at 310 10th Concession Road are proposed to have a special provision added to permit a maximum usable floor area of 600.5 square meters for a structure accessory to a dwelling in the agricultural zone to facilitate the future severance of a surplus farm dwelling to include one of the barns. The subject property is located at the south side of 10th Concession Road, west of its intersection with West Quarter Line Road. The lot is approximately 73.6 hectares with frontage onto 10th Concession Road. The surrounding lands are agricultural and residential uses. The proposal for the subject lands is to add the special provision to facilitate a subsequent application for consent to sever the existing dwelling and include one of the associated accessory structures as surplus to the needs of agriculture. The application was circulated for comments amongst Norfolk County departments and applicable agencies. No comments of interest have been received. It was presented earlier today at PHC. There were some comments from council, but nothing specific to note. Financial Services notes that there are no direct financial impacts as a result of the application, but there may be increased permit revenues and the potential for assessment growth and tax revenues. It's staff's opinion that the proposed application does not meet the intent of the Planning Act, the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, or the official plan. The application would facilitate the severance of a dwelling considered to be surplus to the needs of agriculture with the inclusion of the existing barn, but the barn is not considered to be necessary to accommodate the needs of the residential use. Therefore, staff recommend refusal of this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wharton. Is there any questions from council? Councillor Van Adrishi?
I certainly am in favor of this because it makes a good use of the agricultural building so you don't have to destroy it, and it does bring assessment to the actual property. So I'm not in favor of refusing this. I'm in favor of accepting this and approving it. So what is my next steps, Mr. Chair?
Looks like several are ready to speak, so we'll come back to you. Your option would be to move a motion that says it to be approved instead, but I'll go to Councillor Van Passen first, then Councillor Columbus.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to put forth the motion that we approve this situation, and I want to play the video from Scott's speech this morning so I don't have to repeat it, of all the reasons why this makes sense. It's the existing barn. It's only 30 feet from the house. Planners' hands are tied sometimes about being very specific on the rules, and council and committees don't have that same sort of handcuff on us. So I'd be happy to move the approval of the application Yeah, I think that's all, that would be approved, so.
Okay, we'll come back to that in just 1 second. I'd see Councillor Columbus's hand. I'd like him to speak first, and then we'll...
I was just going to mention the same thing, ditto.
Okay.
And a lot of times these types of buildings act as an incubator for other businesses that are left surplus.
Given that Councillor Van Andruschi spoke first with the same intention, I will ask Councillor Van Andruschi to be the mover then to approve this file, seconded then by Councillor Van Passen, if that's fair. Okay, so the motion is on the floor, moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? It has been updated on your screen. Seeing no further discussion, I'll give you just a second to read that. It does say be approved as opposed to being rejected or refused. And with that, we'll call the question. So, all those in favor of the motion as displayed on the screen? Opposed, if any? Seeing none, that is carried. Okay, thank you very much. 12.3.4 is a request for closure and conveyance of part of Old Church Street, Lyndoch. It is report CDS 25-012. We'll just flip the chairs around a little bit back there. Introducing this report is our Realty Services Specialist, Ms. Karen Lambrecht. When you are ready, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor Chair, or Mr. Chair and members of council. Report CDS 25-0112 is being presented today to council in follow-up to report CS 25-077 presented at the Public Hearings Committee meeting held on July 3rd. The applicants are requesting the closure and conveyance of a portion of Old Church Street in Lyndoch, which is adjacent to their property. This report recaps the nature of the request by the applicants along with additional related details. The applicants are aware that they will be responsible for all costs associated with this closure and conveyance. Since the public hearing, the applicants and the other adjacent property owner have come to a private agreement between themselves regarding the potential shared use of the land. No further inquiries were received since the public hearing with regards to this closure and conveyance. Should council approve this matter, staff will work with the applicants and their solicitors to complete this transaction in accordance with our policy. Thank you, and staff will take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions of staff? Councillor Columbus.
Yes, just one question, if we could get clarification on snow removal on that portion of the road and the fact that the hammerhead is no longer going to be there. Can we get some clarification on the snow removal?
Okay, who's best to speak to that? Looks like Mr. Lambert.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor and his question, one of the conditions on the purchase and sale agreement is to produce Street B out to Charlton Street, which would allow snow removal services down Old Church Street, then to continue down through Road B and right out to Charlton by the municipality.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Columbus. Is there anything further? Councillor Berry, go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Do you want me to wait till the motions?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I would look for someone to make said motion. Moved by Councillor Van Passen, the staff recommendation. Yep, and Councillor Brunton seconding. Okay, motion is moved and seconded and is now on the floor for discussion. Councillor Berry, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not going to support it. You know, this issue wasn't just between one neighbor. There were several residents that came and spoke at council and again previously at the Committee of Adjustment. You know, there are some errors here. I understand that it may or may not have been on the part of the applicant themselves, but regardless, I mean, you know, this was not done according to what the county set out for them to do, and I have a real problem with the idea that people can, whether intentionally or not, go against everything that they're supposed to do as far as setbacks and buildings and those other things, and then not only get it approved, but end up with more property. It just seems backwards to me. So I don't like the idea of setting a precedent of, well, if you don't follow the rules, don't worry, we'll accommodate you. That's not a message I want to send to development in Norfolk County.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further comments? Councillor Van Andruschi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. I noticed that some of the people were indicating they didn't have sufficient parking. I took a drive down there, and of course I'm familiar with the area. But at the end of the day, there's sufficient parking that they don't have to park. Some could park on the road if they so choose to, but at the other areas, the lots themselves have sufficient room for creating more parking for themselves. So I'm going to be in favor of this motion. Thank you very much.
Further discussion or debate? Okay, seeing none, I would just add my comments that I think this whole thing has been fraught, unfortunately, with errors from the beginning, and I think we need to take care of it once and for all to allow things to move forward, and I am more than ready to do that at this point. So with that, we'll call the question. All those in favor, the motion is on the screen. Opposed, if any? One. That motion is carried. Thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Lambrecht. We'll move forward to 12.3.5, application ZNPL 2025-156, which is 676 Gibraltar Street. It is report CD 25-068. Turn to Mr. Winicky to introduce his report. I did my best with your last name. If it was wrong, I apologize.
Good afternoon, Your Worship. No, you did fine. Members of Council, the subject proposal in front of you is for a 3-story residential apartment that includes 25 affordable housing units and a minimum of 10 rent-geared-to-income units. The proposal involves 28 on-street parking spaces, right-of-way access from Gibraltar Street. The zoning bylaw amendment will amend the lands from urban residential type 2 zone to urban residential type 5 zone with a special provision 14.1077 that reads as follows. The minimum rear yard setback, 3 meters, minimum required parking spaces, 20 spaces, minimum required site triangle setback, 8.5 meters, and minimum 1 visitor spot for every 4 units. A series of technical documents were submitted in support of this application and are listed in the report. Water and sanitary modeling are required to confirm that the development can be adequately serviced and will be addressed, and this will be addressed as a condition of the concurrent site plan control application. Overall, the proposed development is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms with the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, can be subject to confirmation that the development can be adequately serviced. Staff are recommending approval of this application.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions of council? Seeing none, is there a member of council that would like to make a motion at this time? Moved by Councillor Columbus, the staff recommendation. Okay, and seconded by Councillor Micheli. Any discussion on the item? Councillor Columbus, please go ahead.
I'd just like to say that this is a long-awaited development project. It was one time talked about as being 16 units. Now we got 25 units. It is for affordable housing and also those rent geared to income, so that's good news. The Housing Corporation's been involved for quite some time. I think this is probably the first Parliament Norfolk Housing Corporation build that we've had since 2020. Is that right, Matt? You know, you shake your head if you. This is in Norfolk, yeah. Yep, that's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify. So it is really good news for Delhi community and also Norfolk County.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Columbus. Any further notice or discussion items? My apologies. Seeing none, we'll call the question then. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, shifting ahead, 12.4. On 12.4.1 is Haldeman Norfolk Housing Corporation Gibraltar Street Project Update. This is report ESS 25-001. Likely for the last time, I think. We are turning this over. Yes, I'm doing that deliberately, because despite my protests, Ms. Page is moving on from Norfolk County, and perhaps she wants to speak to that. But I'll turn the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Council. I'm actually excited to bring you an update today from our HNHC Gibraltar Street housing project. As Councillor Columbus had noted, the original plan was for 16 units of housing, and the building will now include 25 units of housing, 10 of which will remain as rent geared to income and help support long-term operational sustainability of the building. In addition, applications for this project for different grants are due this fall. So we're bringing you forth this updated plan today in order to be ready. In order to apply for the grants, we do have to be shovel ready, and there is a need for pre-development and pre-construction work, including a Class B report, final design development, and additional supports. We're requesting today that Council permit H&HC to use proceeds from previous sales of legacy assets to fund these costs with an upset limit of $845,000. This new unit in Delhi will also include a community partnership with Norfolk Association for Community Living for 2 accessible units housing up to 6 vulnerable adults in our community. I will now pass it over to their Supervisor of Financial Planning and Reporting, Amy Vesperini, for an update of financial impacts and next steps.
Thank you, Sarah. Through the chair. The initial estimate provided in the spring of last year anticipated that the county's contribution would be $5 million for this project. However, the increased rental revenue due to the increase in units has actually reduced the capital project, the contribution needed from the county, to only $1 million, plus building permit fees. As we can't calculate the building permit fees, I can't give you the exact dollar value for that yet. However, the remaining funds for the project would be funded $32 million from the sale of the H&HC properties, the contribution from NACL, an anticipated grant of approximately $2.3 million, and a financing component of $1.1 million. The added revenue also allows for the property to pay for the financing component itself. And as the county has started planning for the estimated contribution amount, we already have or will have the $1.1 million plus the building permit fees to provide to H&HC without needing to take any financing out to provide them the funds. And the property tax rebate will continue to be paid annually through H&HC through our operating budget, as we do for all H&HC properties. And the county will always continue to look for grant opportunities that can continue to lower our contribution to this project. If there are any changes in the funding of the project or project costs, a report will be brought to council at that time with any alternatives if they're required. And with that, Sarah and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions of the report? Okay, do I have a mover for the staff recommendation? Moved by Councillor Brunton, seconded by Councillor Columbus. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 12.4.2 is the Service Manager final approval of the Ramsey Drive project. It's report ESS 25-002. And I believe Mr. Brian Davis, Acting Director of Social Services and Housing, is introducing his report.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. So now that with all the funding in place as of the end of June for 311 Ramsey Drive, this report recommends that council provide service manager final approval for the construction to begin immediately. Essentially, as of today, the construction fencing is in place, the new building signage is up, and a groundbreaking ceremony is scheduled for tomorrow. So I know the timelines are tight. I just wanted to flag, I recognize I've been here 3 months and I missed the July 8th committee and council meeting, but that was an oversight on my part. So just want to acknowledge that getting shovels in the ground for a nonprofit housing development complete with a new childcare center is an incredible milestone for us to celebrate together with H&HC and Haldeman County. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there any questions of council? Sounds like things are moving quickly, so well done.
Very quickly.
Okay. May I have a mover for the staff recommendation? It is before you on the screen, moved by Councillor Van Adrishi and seconded by Councillor Michelli. Discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 12.5 is Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. Nothing going on in his world currently by the looks of it. So item 13. Bylaws. Do we have any council member wishing to speak to any of the bylaws that are before us for approval? Okay. May I have a mover then to approve the following bylaws? The bylaws 2025-42, 2025-44, 2025-50, consecutively be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed in open council. Is there a mover? Councillor Columbus, seconded Councillor Very? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Number 14, motions. Councillor Very, turn to you first.
Thank you, Chair. So as I spoke about just briefly on July 8th, there's been an ongoing concern with the stop sign at Nelson Street and Maple Boulevard in Port Dover. Just again, the quick recap on that was that initially staff said we should not put a stop sign there, but there was a petition, council listened to the residents, allowed the stop sign to be placed. In hindsight, the residents recognized that was, or many of the residents recognized that was maybe not a great decision. I had initially asked Mike King about what needed to be done. Anyways, yada, yada, yada. Our new traffic person has said that really what we need to do is have council give staff direction to go and take a look at this and actually just do an assessment and come back with a recommendation. So I'm just asking council to do that, to give staff an opportunity to take another look and see if that stop sign is in fact necessary or not. And if it's not, then down the road we can make a decision on whether or not we should remove it. So I recognize that, backtracking is never something we really want to do, and it's not the best use of resources. However, sometimes we make mistakes. We as a community, not a council. So I'm asking if somebody will second that motion, please.
Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Very and seconded by Councillor Micheli. Fair, thank you. Is there discussion? Councillor Van Passen? Oh, sorry, actually, pardon me. Councillor Micheli, did you want to speak to it? You're the seconder, you can speak first.
I do, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. I am just wondering, it's just kind of occurring to me this morning that I'm wondering if the mover would be willing to make one little amendment to the motion, that in the process of examining that intersection, if it could include, if the examination could include an evaluation of the appropriateness of the speed watch sign that is about 150 meters from that stop sign.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we make it so he just, Jack Reddy there does an assessment of the entire situation, that works for me. It doesn't have to be just the stop sign. So yeah, thanks, Councilor Micheli. It's a good idea. And we just get all of our birds stoned at once.
Okay, and I just asked Mr. Grice, that's clear. Thank you. Okay, moved and seconded. Councillor Van Passen, you had an item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That sort of answered my question, because when the sign originally went in, Nelson Street itself controlled the speeding, where the potholes therein. Now that it's been rebuilt, I'm sure if we take these signs down, we're going to get complaints again because of the speeding. So if the motion is just to have staff investigate all of those issues, I'm more than happy with that, and we'll see what the staff bring back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's my interpretation as well. So with that, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 15, notices of motion. 15.1, Councillor Van Passen. Would you like to speak? You have, I think it's 1 minute for your notice of motion.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only comment, I would ask for council's indulgence to deal with this as a motion, if we could get 2/3 majority to waive the procedural bylaw. It's one of those little technical, time-sensitive things. So I'd first ask for that motion to be put forward.
Okay, so I'll need a motion for 2/3 majority to allow this item to be heard and decided upon today. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor Brunton, seconded by Councillor Columbus. Call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried with more than 2/3. So, Councillor Van Passen, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As it's printed up there, the Sustainability Committee had a presentation from the Long Point Biosphere region the other day, and the same issue that Councillor Columbus brought up. By the time that committee would approve those minutes would be another 3 months. By the time it gets to council, it's another 3 or 6 months. So I'm just asking to move this forward. The request by the Biosphere is that they'd be able to sit down with staff to see if there's a need to develop an MOU that they can work with the county road and engineering staff for some input on some road reconstruction. If you remember, they are the group that supported and paid for the crossings under the causeway in Long Point and the work around the bridge, and they'd be able to get some funding and some grants to do this. But one of the items they're looking at, and I'll have to ask our engineering, I think it's the Big Creek Bridge on County Road 60 is in the capital budget for next year, and they've already recognized a need to do a little bit of work to help the little critters out there. So I would put forth the motion that we direct staff to sit down and talk to the group and see if there's a way that we can come up with an MOU to get their input on those kind of matters.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Van Passen. It is before you on the screen and highlighted there in gray. I'll need a seconder. Councillor Michele, are you seconding that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm seconding it on the provision that I can make one, I believe, typo or correction to the wording. It is the Long Point Biosphere Reserve, not region.
Our clerk's team will fix that. Okay. Are there any further comments? So it's moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Michele. Any further discussion? Okay, call the question. All those in favor, please. That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, 16, other business. Councillor Columbus, I understand you have a notice of motion?
Right. Mr. Deputy Mayor, you weren't here this morning, but thank you for catching that. The Ag Advisory Committee had a meeting on July the 9th, and one of the items that we had discussed was an opportunity for a grant for a particular project we're looking at. And the deadline for that, we're not having an August meeting, so have to have it at this meeting, and I really appreciate the fact that council supports this kind of like a walk-in. So I'm going to ask John Reagan to provide the details.
Thank you, Councillor Columbus, and through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the opportunity, and I appreciate this being able to come forward today. So as Councillor Columbus has mentioned, this has gone to the July meetings of the EDAC meeting and also the Agriculture Advisory Committee. And unfortunately, Council won't see those minutes until September. So the government in Ontario, as some of you may understand, the Trade Impact Communities Program, or we call TICP, which is TICP, which is under the Ontario Investment and Trade folks. So they've come up with two grants, two streams. And I'll make this very quick because it's very exciting. I think the province may have looked at our economic development strategy and wrote this grant just for us because it fits perfectly. Stream 1 is local economic development planning and implementation, and Stream 2 is infrastructure and investment projects. So based on us being Ontario's garden, where we're located and what we do here specifically in agriculture and agriculture manufacturing and food production, we think there's a great opportunity here for us to apply for both streams. We are not asking council for any money whatsoever. These grants currently are up to 100% funding. They do require partnerships, hence why some of the late to the gate where we wanted to reach out to some of the private sector and other strategic partners for making these applications. And so what we're looking for today is permission to apply for those grants. And then also we would come back to council in September with how that's looking, along with kind of where we're at with the application process. What we're looking at is directly related to the approved economic development strategic plan for priorities for 2026 and also 2027, which is kind of exciting. So I'll leave it there to see if you have any additional questions, but we're really just hoping for approval for us to move forward on this.
Anything further to add there, Councillor Columbus?
No, I think John's covered it very well.
Okay, thank you. Just to correct the public record, I said this was a notice of motion. My mistake. Earlier today, a vote was taken and which received 2/3 support to hear and decide on this item today. So with that, this was moved then by Councillor Columbus and seconded by Councillor Vanden Driesch. Is there any discussion on the item? Okay, we will call the question then. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, item 17, general announcements. Anything from anyone? Councillor Columbus.
Just wanted to mention that the Ag Business Tour is on Thursday, 8:30, the bus leaves. We have 30 people on board. It's full. There's a waiting list. And hopefully it will be a great day where we can meet our host farmers. There's 5 of them actually, and it should be good as last year or better. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Columbus. I'm unfortunately away for the next few days and I can't make it, but I will certainly miss it. It was a great day last year and I certainly enjoyed it. So thank you for your work on making that happen. Councillor Van Passen, I think I saw your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got notice the other day that on August 23rd, the Ontario Federation, in conjunction with the Norfolk Federation of Agriculture, will be doing breakfast on the farm. It'll be based out of the Norfolk County Fairgrounds, and they'll be doing farm tours. So, and I think it starts bright and early in the morning for breakfast. So when I get more details, I'll pass that on. So.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Van Passen. Councillor Brunton, did I see your hand? Nope. Okay. All right. Anything from staff? Staff on this side? I'd just like to take this moment, and just to embarrass her, because I know it'll be fun, to congratulate our General Manager of Emergency Services and Housing, Ms. Sarah Page, who has a new role at the Grand Erie Public Health Unit as its head as a Chief Executive Officer there. And will be leaving us in mid-August. This is certainly a wonderful opportunity for Sarah, but certainly a sad time for Norfolk County. She has had a very storied career with Norfolk County and led a lot of significant initiatives and has certainly risen through the ranks as well from her start in the EMS division and has worked her way up and done just a terrific job. And it's been an absolute pleasure of mine, certainly in the last almost 3 years, to have the opportunity to work with you. I certainly will miss you. I think my text to you yesterday that said no should give you the understanding that we're sad to see you go, but certainly excited for you, for the opportunity, and obviously given the degree of interconnectedness between Norfolk County and the health unit, will still certainly be involved, but wishing you much success in your new venture, and you certainly will be missed. Councillor Very.
Yeah, I just want to echo or add to that or echo that. So when I saw the email, I was like, oh, Sarah, somebody's moving on. I'm like, oh, man. And I said, Sarah moves on. I'm like, oh, yeah, great, at Oxford, give her more money or whatever. That's my first thought, was like somebody else poached her because she would be in such high demand. And as I'm reading this thing, I'm going like, oh, that's actually really good. Granary, that's us, right? Yeah, okay, good. So I sent all that, what I just said, rambly into an email to Sarah. And you know how you know she's successful already? She didn't even respond. So the first time ever that she doesn't have to respond to an email to a counselor, because I'm out of here anyway. So that's how she's doing so far. So congratulations indeed.
I mean, she responded to me, but I
guess she needed it more than I did. I don't know.
Anything from anyone? Councillor Van Adrishi.
At the end of the day, you will be sadly missed, but it's a better place to have had you here. And so success to you.
All right. Councillor Brunton.
Can I put a motion on the floor to restrict her from moving?
I think it's fair. We need 2/3 majority, right? We can do it. All right. That's all at this point. You'll be missed. Congratulations, and certainly all the best. We appreciate everything that you've done for us. We will move forward. Section 18 is closed session. We have 2 late closed session items to discuss today. May I have a mover for the following motion? That council enter into closed session at 3:50 p.m. to discuss items pursuant to Section 239(2) C and K of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, as the subject matter pertains to C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor Michelli, seconded by Councillor Very. I saw your hand. Seconder for that motion? Or sorry, did that call the question? My apologies. All in favor? I know I stepped in too late. Carried. Thank you very much.
Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We've got a lot of questions here, and this video series will answer some of those. What is a subdivision? If a landowner would like to divide their property into 3 pieces of land, they can submit a severance application that we explained earlier. whereas a subdivision application is required when a landowner has a piece of land large enough to divide into more than 3 or 4 individual lots to build new houses or other kind of developments. The subdivision process generally requires a more in-depth review with a longer processing time to ensure that the development meets county's development standards. What is a condominium? A condominium, often known as a condo, is an ownership model where the building or group of buildings is divided into multiple units that are surrounded by common areas for circulation, servicing, or amenities such as parks and open spaces. The common areas are jointly owned and managed by the owners of the units. Residential condominiums are frequently constructed as apartment buildings and townhouses with private roads. Many shopping malls are also commercial condominiums in which the individual retail and office spaces are owned by businesses that occupy them, while the common areas of the mall are collectively owned by these business entities. A condominium corporation is often made up of condo unit owners who manage and operate the condominium complex. What is the difference between a subdivision and a condominium? One of the main differences between a subdivision and a condominium development is who is responsible for providing services such as water, wastewater, and road maintenance after the construction and occupancy of the dwellings or units. In a subdivision, the county takes responsibility for providing these services to individual lots. On the other hand, in a condominium, the county is only responsible to providing services up to the entry point of the development. The condominium is responsible for distributing services and the maintenance to the individual units. How are subdivisions and condominiums approved? To get approval for a subdivision or condominium, the landowner must apply for approval of a draft of the plan that shows how many lots are proposed, the lot size, how the lots will be accessed, including any new roads, and how the lots will be serviced for water and wastewater or other utilities. The planning team will provide guidelines to the landowner on the standards they need to comply with. Examples include road design, tree plantation, fencing requirements, and maintaining a buffer from any existing industrial or commercial sites, etc. Generally, the subdivision applications go to council for a decision, whereas most of the condominium applications are currently approved by the county staff under delegated authority. How are residents informed about a new subdivision? When a draft plan of a subdivision is approved, the neighbors receive an approval notice of the application. The neighbors have 20 days to appeal against the approval or refusal of the draft plan. Once the appeal period has expired, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done by the developer before beginning the construction. An approved draft plan of subdivision does not constitute a legal lot. It is merely a draft plan. Norfolk County must ensure that all lots are appropriately designed and serviceable through a subdivision agreement, and only then can the lots be registered and the owner can apply for a building permit. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We get a lot of questions here, and this video series will answer some of those. What is site plan control? Site plan control is a tool that planners use to evaluate a proposed development to ensure the site features and elements such as walkways, parking areas, and landscapings, and many other technical features meet specific standards. For example, standards may include engineering design, sustainability, and universal accessibility for barrier-free access to the building or within the property. What do I do if I have submitted a permit and I have learned my property is under site plan control? If a property is under a site plan control, the first step is to speak with a planner. A planner will need to learn about what is changing about the lands, which may or may not require a site plan application. What is a site plan waiver? Sometimes the nature of a development is so minor that a site plan application is determined to be unnecessary. In this instance, a site plan control will be waived. If you have learned from a planner that it is appropriate to waive a site plan control, you can submit an application form with any required documents to the planning department to receive a site plan waiver. Do all lands require site plan control? Not all lands require site plan control. For example, single detached dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, and townhouses that are serviced and accessed from a public road. Agricultural activities or farm buildings also do not require a site plan control. Most new commercial, institutional, and industrial developments require a site plan control. A site plan agreement with the landowner may be required to ensure that appropriate standards are maintained during the construction period. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hey Norfolk County, whether you're a longtime resident, new to the area, or simply visiting, do you know about the many services provided by Norfolk County? As a single-tier municipality, we provide services that our community uses every day, including water and fire protection, curbside garbage and recycling, road and sidewalk maintenance, and so much more. We also provide services needed at unique times in life, such as a marriage or business license, or a dog tag for your new companion. And the unique geographic features in Norfolk County, from farmland and forests to lakes and wetlands, means we also provide specialized services ranging from drainage applications to tree inspections. Wondering how to contact Norfolk County? Start with Service Norfolk. Our friendly team of agents is here to help. Reach us by phone at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Calling about an issue after hours? No problem. We have you covered. Prefer online? Email askus@norfolkcounty.ca anytime, or use our customer service portal at service.norfolkcounty.ca and get a reply right to your email inbox. Want to visit us in person? Come to one of our friendly customer service counters in Simcoe, Monday to Friday, or Delhi, Tuesday to Thursday. Service Norfolk, connecting you to Norfolk County services.
Deputations are a way for you and all residents of Norfolk County to speak before council about relevant matters in our community. To begin, search www.norfolkcounty.ca. Then select the Government tab. Under the Government tab, select Provide Deputation/Speak at a Council or Committee Meeting. This page provides general information regarding deputations. Under the subheading Register to Speak, click the Public Hearing/Deputation Form link to pre-register your deputation. Notice of Collection. By checking the Notice of Collection box, you are agreeing to the above statement. Selecting the type of meeting you want. There are several types of meetings that allow deputations. Please listen closely as we explain each option. Council meeting. Council deputations must pertain to a matter listed on the upcoming meeting agenda. For the remaining meeting choices, you may present a deputation if the topic pertains to the committee you are presenting to. Once you select the type of meeting you want to deliver your deputation, you can complete the rest of the document. Now choose whether you will attend the meeting in person or virtually. Finally, select if you will be providing materials during your deputation. If you have materials for distribution during the council meeting, please bring 15 hard copies for council and staff. Now click Next to move to Step 2. In Step 2, please fill out your personal information. Once your personal information is completed, click Next. Lastly, review your information and select Next to submit your form. You have now completed the deputation request form. You will receive a confirmation email from the Clerk's Department that they've received your request. Next, we will talk about what to do on the day of your deputation.
So, you've received your approval and the day of your deputation is upon you. For starters, council is located here, at 50 Colburn Street. Now there's two entrances you can use when you arrive. One is here, located off Colburn, and one located off Talbot Street. When you arrive, you'll have three main options to park. The first is to park at the Simcoe Town Center Mall, which is where Food Basics is located. Your second option is 2-hour street parking on Court Street. And your third option is 2-hour street parking on Lott Street. If you can't find any parking at any of those three options, don't worry. Downtown Simcoe has plenty of street parking in all of the surrounding areas. If you enter through the Colburn Street doors, you'll have to make your way through the building to get to council chambers. But don't worry, if you require any assistance, you can feel free to ask Service Norfolk at the front desk. Make your way along this path and you'll end up in the main lobby. To your left, there'll be an elevator. You can either ring the bell or go ask the people at the front desk for assistance. If you don't need to use the elevator, you can head on up the green staircase and go up to council chambers. If you enter through the Talbot Street doors, the elevator will be immediately in front of you, or the green staircase will be ready for you to go up and deliver your presentation. Once you reach the top of the stairs, you'll have made it to council chambers. Feel free to take a seat here or here and wait for council to call your name when it's time to present. When council calls your name, make your way to the podium and ensure that you don't walk between the railing and the chairs on your way there. When you arrive at the podium, adjust it to your desired height using the arrow buttons and turn the microphone on using the button on the right. If you're giving your deputation in front of council, begin by saying, through the mayor. If you're giving it in front of a committee, begin by saying, through the chair. Then, clearly state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes to give your presentation. Upon having 1 minute remaining, the chair will give you notice. When you're finished your presentation, council may have questions for you. Ensure that you always begin your answer by saying, through the mayor, or through the chair to councillor, and their last name. If you can't answer the question, that's okay. Inform council that you'll gather more information and get back to them. After that, council will have heard out what you've had to say, and they'll take appropriate action as they deem necessary. And now, you've finished your deputation. You can either have a seat and watch the rest of the meeting, or you can leave through the door that you came in and ensure that you leave as quietly as possible.
Hey Norfolk County, did you know that Ride Norfolk is now on demand? This means you can schedule Norfolk's public transit service to pick you up for appointments, shopping, school, or work. Ride Norfolk has partnered with Blaze Transit to offer on-demand pickups at all 95 stops across Norfolk, including this one. I booked my trip earlier today and my bus is here right on time. Since there are no fixed local schedules, you can easily book Ride Norfolk over the phone, online, or on the Blaze Transit app from your smartphone. Thanks, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Ride Norfolk's customer service team can help answer any questions you may have, get you started with the app, or book your next ride. By moving to on-demand, Ride Norfolk is helping more residents get where they need to go. To learn more, visit norfolkcounty.ca/transit.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm here to take you behind the scenes for a quick look at what we do at Norfolk County's water treatment facility. Here in Port Rowan, the water treatment process starts by pumping water from Lake Erie up into the water treatment facility. Back in the treatment facility, I inspect large clarification tanks where the lake water enters the plant. Here we add coagulant, a chemical that attracts dirt particles together. These form into larger particles called flock, which eventually sinks and is sent to waste. Next, the water enters the filtration system where any remaining dirt particles are trapped by the filters. The water is then chlorinated and sent into a 113 cubic meter underground storage chamber. The water is then taken to the granular activated carbon filters that work like supersized 10,000 pound Brita filters to remove taste and odor. The final step is disinfection, which includes UV and a final dose of chlorine, ensuring safe, potable drinking water. Water testing is an important part of the job. Throughout the day, we take water samples at different stages of the process, up to 9 tests, depending on the treatment facility. As a Norfolk resident myself, I am proud to serve the community I live in. Thanks for joining me in this behind-the-scenes tour.
Hi, I'm Marissa, and I'm here to take you behind the scenes for a quick look at what we do at Norfolk County's waste and recycling operations. Here at the transfer station in Simcoe, residents can bring a variety of waste materials for disposal. Norfolk operates 2 transfer stations, welcoming about 27,000 customers every year, and accepts material ranging from bulky items, wood, metal, and yard waste. Norfolk also provides curbside waste programs. Recycling from your home arrives at this facility where it is manually sorted by the type of material. You can see why it's important to separate materials into the correct bin, rinse recyclables, and remove items from bags. This facility processes 4,600 metric tons per year. That's equal to about 20 tons per day. Once items are sorted by material type, they are baled and ready to be shipped across North America to be made into new material. About 8 to 10% of the material that arrives here shouldn't have been put in the recycling bin. Residents can use our Recycle Coach app to confirm if an item can be recycled. After seeing how waste is handled, I hope this video helps show why rinsing and sorting your recyclables are important steps in the recycling process. As a Norfolk County employee, I am proud to serve the community I was raised in. Thanks for joining me on this behind-the-scenes tour.
Hey Norfolk County, whether you're a longtime resident, new to the area, or simply visiting, do you know about the many services provided by Norfolk County? As a single-tier municipality, we provide services that our community uses every day, including water and fire protection, curbside garbage and recycling, road and sidewalk maintenance, and so much more. We also provide services needed at unique times in life, such as a marriage or business license, or a dog tag for your new companion. And the unique geographic features in Norfolk County, from farmland and forests to lakes and wetlands, means we also provide specialized services ranging from drainage applications to tree inspections. Wondering how to contact Norfolk County? Start with Service Norfolk. Our friendly team of agents is here to help. Reach us by phone at 519-426-5870 or 226-NORFOLK from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Calling about an issue after hours? No problem. We have you covered. Prefer online? Email askus@norfolkcounty.ca anytime, or use our customer service portal at service.norfolkcounty.ca and get a reply right to your email inbox. Want to visit us in person? Come to one of our friendly customer service counters in Simcoe, Monday to Friday, or Delhi, Tuesday to Thursday. Service Norfolk, connecting you to Norfolk County services.
Norfolk County, my name is Anna and I'm here to share some water safety tips to keep you and your family safe around the water. Knowing how to swim is a life skill and an essential part of staying safe and having fun. Swimming lessons are the best way to learn essential swim survival skills to recover from a fall into deep water. Think you're too old for lessons? There are programs designed for teens and adults as well. With so many lakes and rivers, Canadians of all ages are avid boaters. Always wear a life jacket, it could save your life. Never swim alone, regardless of age and skill level. Always swim with a buddy. A buddy can throw you a buoyant aid if you get into trouble. When possible, wade into unknown waters to prevent injury. Backyard pools are a great place to make family memories. But remember, if you are not within arm's reach of your child in and around the water, then you've gone too far. Drowning can occur in as little as 10 seconds and it is silent. Every drowning death is preventable. Take time to educate yourself and those around you to ensure you're staying safe and having fun around the water. For more information, visit norfolkcounty.ca/watersafety.
This summer, discover the hidden gem of Norfolk County, Ontario's garden. Stroll through historic villages where time seems to slow down. Feel the sand between your toes on our pristine Lake Erie beaches. From live theater that captivates to trails that wind through breathtaking landscapes, adventure and relaxation await at every turn. Meet the farmers who grow your dinner and taste wine and beer crafted right here. Experience Norfolk County this summer, where small-town charm meets farm-fresh flavor. Ontario's Garden. It's time you came home to it.
Today we're announcing an exciting partnership with Scotland and Norfolk County Economic Development, and we're transforming transport trailers into mobile ambassadors. We're showcasing Norfolk's story of opportunity, excellence, and quality of life across all of North America, and Scotland is the ideal partner with an amazing logistics network and will help us share our story all across North America.
Meet Captain Clean, the toilet paper superhero, here to protect Norfolk County's pipes and keep everything flowing smoothly. Remember, only flush the 3 Ps: pee, poop, and toilet paper. Flushing anything else can cause big trouble. Things like wipes, hair, or grease can create sewer blockages. These blockages restrict flow, combine with other debris, and cause costly damage, overflow, and even water pollution. By sticking to the 3 Ps, you can help prevent clogs, reduce repair costs, and keep our water clean. For items you can't flush, proper disposal is key. Throw regular waste in the garbage. Do not believe claims on packaging that products are flushable. Take it from Captain Clean, they are not. Household hazardous waste can be dropped off at Norfolk's temporary depots during spring and fall. For things like medication and sharps disposal, take them to your local pharmacy or the health unit. And remember, grease belongs in the trash, but let it cool and store it first. Don't pour it down the drain. Be a flushing hero like Captain Clean. Together we can protect our pipes, our homes, and the environment. Remember, only flush the 3 Ps. Norfolk County is counting on you.
Soon after, members of council and I took our seats right here in council chambers last November, we began to plan the direction we'd like to see Norfolk County take over the next 4 years and beyond. A direction that builds on our strengths and sets a strong foundation in place for future generations. We looked outward to the people of Norfolk for input. We listened to you, the valued members of our community, from our sandy lake shores, our vibrant downtowns, our picturesque countryside, and our bountiful farmland. We engaged leaders from local businesses and community agencies. We gathered ideas from our team across the county. Based on what we've heard, we created Our Future Norfolk, a set of priorities that focuses on 5 key areas: empowering Norfolk, building Norfolk, connecting Norfolk, serving Norfolk, and sustaining Norfolk. These priorities, along with the initiatives and activities that drive them, will guide council and staff as we work together to serve you and all of the members of our community over the next 4 years. On behalf of Norfolk County Council and staff, we invite you to check out our website at norfolkcounty.ca/Our Future Norfolk and return frequently to learn more about our path to a vibrant and strong future for all of us, now and in the years to come.
Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We get a lot of questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those. The first big question is, what is the official plan? Norfolk County's official plan describes Council's policy on how lands in our community should be used, managed, and developed. It is prepared with community input and helps to ensure the future planning and development will meet the specific needs of our community. An official plan includes issues such as where new housing, industry, offices, and shops will be located, and what services like roads, water mains, sewers, parks, and schools will be needed. It also defines when and in what order our community will grow and outlines community improvement initiatives. The official plan is approved by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in Ontario. The current official plan was adopted in 2016 with a goal to manage the growth of this county for the next 20 years. Residents can see Norfolk County official plan on our website at norfolkcounty.ca/official plan. What is a secondary plan? A secondary plan is a more detailed policy document embedded within the official plan to address the growth and development issues unique to a specific area of the county. For example, the lakeshore area in Norfolk County or a particular urban area with defined characteristics can be a secondary plan. As I mentioned, it is a more detailed policy document. It provides directions on where future development will occur with a guideline on density, road access, infrastructure services, different building types, building heights, or even design guidelines that are compatible to that specific area. In Norfolk County, there is only one secondary plan at this moment, which is the Lakeshore Special Policy Area Secondary Plan. The Port Dover Secondary Plan would be the second plan the county is working on at this moment. What does the land use designation of a property mean? Norfolk County's official plan also identifies how individual land or a group of lands will be used, and this is done by the land use designation. In Norfolk County, a lot of lands have been designated as agricultural. Some areas have been designated as hazard lands because of their specific natural features. An example would be the natural creeks, streams, rivers, or shoreline areas. Some lands have been designated as residential, commercial, or industrial to efficiently manage the growth of specific land use. Each land designation has rules about the kind of development allowed. The official plan uses growth management data to identify where and how much growth will occur in the next 20 years. In accordance with the provincial requirement, Norfolk County reviews and updates these growth areas every 5 years. What is the process of changing an official plan designation? A landowner can request to change the designation of the land through an official plan amendment application. This change requires a public hearing meeting and council's decision. A landowner needs to consult with a planner to get more information about this process and to identify the required documents they must submit. Any official plan amendment needs to conform to the provincial policy statement, which is a planning policy document that affects all municipalities across Ontario. This provincial policy statement is currently under review and may change in the future. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Jacob, and I'm here to take you behind the scenes on a capital project in Norfolk County. We begin planning capital projects by analyzing our infrastructure needs related to roads, water mains, storm and sanitary sewers, as well as bridges. We assess their overall condition, age, and servicing requirements. This provides a solid foundation to ensure Norfolk has the hard infrastructure for current and future needs. Once a project is determined and approved by Council, we retain an engineer to complete the design. During this stage, we engage the public through public information centers or postings on the county website to inform them of the upcoming project and provide an opportunity to share feedback. After the design is completed and all approvals are in place, we hire a contractor through a public bidding process. During the construction phase, we track progress, budget, and continue to engage with the public. We also work with other departments to ensure the overall success of the project. Once complete, we report and track any warranty issues for 2 years. We measure a project's success by its ability to enhance infrastructure and positively impact residents. As a Norfolk County employee, I enjoy building the community that has given me so much. Thank you for taking the time to join me on this behind-the-scenes tour.
We all have the right to feel safe at work, when spending time with friends and family, when participating in activities or attending a public meeting or event. Norfolk County is committed to ensuring our spaces and workplaces are safe. Our respect and responsibility policy outlines the code of conduct for employees, patrons, contractors, volunteers, coaches, and spectators. This code of conduct also applies to phone calls, emails, and virtual and social media platforms. We all play a part in fostering a respectful and safe environment. Inappropriate behaviors such as swearing, name-calling, verbal and physical threats, physical violence, harassment, and vandalism will not be tolerated. Staff have the right to take action when incidents occur. This may include denying service, asking individuals to leave, contacting the police, or, if necessary, suspending them from county programs and facilities. Those responsible for damaging county property will be required to cover the cost of repairs, fees, and lost revenues. We are committed to providing high-quality customer service and a safe and respectful environment for all. For more information about our respect and responsibility policy, visit norfolkcounty.ca/RNR.
Hi, I'm Hannah from the Norfolk County Planning Department. We receive many questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those, like, what types of planning applications are there? There are 4 main types of planning applications for different needs. First, there are minor variances and different types of severances. These are reviewed by Norfolk County's Committee of Adjustment. An example of a minor variance is when a garage is being built closer to a property line or is taller than what is permitted in the zoning bylaw. An example of a consent to sever is creating a new lot to allow for a new house. Second, are zoning bylaw and official plan amendments that are considered at council. An example is changing the permission in an urban area to allow for a triplex where a single detached dwelling is permitted. Third, are applications that Ontario's Planning Act gives Norfolk County's Planning Department authority to approve. For example, a draft plan of condominium or subdivision, which are types of applications which enable the division of land for future housing. And fourth, are applications which rely on approval from another regulator, such as telecommunications towers and hazard land boundary line adjustments. As a resident, when do I need to submit a planning application? For the average homeowner, a planning application may be required if your project does not meet the requirements of the zoning bylaw or official plan, or your property falls under site plan control. The building department will let you know that a planning application is required. If you want to change the boundaries of your lot, create an easement, or create a new lot from your property, you will need to apply for a consent to sever with the planning department. What is a pre-consultation meeting? A pre-consultation meeting is the first step of a planning application and allows staff to clarify the application process and provide a checklist of documents required. A complete application can reduce the time required for review and decision-making. Applications that must undergo a pre-consultation meeting before the application can be submitted include official plan amendments, zoning bylaw amendments, draft plans of subdivision, draft plans of condominium, and site plan applications. A meeting may also be required for certain Committee of Adjustment applications. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842. You can also email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Hannah from the Norfolk County Planning Department. We receive many questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those. A common question is, what is zoning? Zoning is a way of categorizing how land can be used. Norfolk County has identified through its zoning bylaw different land use zones, for example, commercial, agricultural, or residential, what they can be used for, and any required standards, for example, building size and location. Zoning must be maintained by any development or activity that has started from the date the zoning bylaw has been passed by the county. What is the process of changing a zoning bylaw? A common reason that residents are referred to the Planning Department is because their proposal does not meet the current zoning bylaw provisions. If a landowner wants to change the land use from what is permitted in the existing zoning, a change in the zoning bylaw would be required. For example, changing the permission from only a single detached dwelling to expand the permission to build a triplex. This is called a zoning bylaw amendment, and it requires council's approval. A planning application known as a minor variance can be submitted for a minor change in the zoning bylaw, such as the height or size of a structure. Minor variances are reviewed by the Committee of Adjustment that is made up of citizen members who are appointed by council. The committee is governed by the Planning Act and holds public meetings to approve applications for minor variances and consents. A minor variance must meet the 4 tests to be approved. 1. The change is minor. 2. The development is desirable for the appropriate use of the land, building, or structure. 3. The change maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. And 4. The change maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. What happens after a decision is made by the Committee of Adjustment? If the committee approves an application, the applicant and anyone else involved is notified. Certain parties can appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal within a 20-day appeal period. If no appeals are filed, the county issues notice that the decision is final. For minor variances, an applicant can now proceed with the building permit process. For severances, specific conditions must be met within 2 years, or the application will expire and the process will need to restart from the beginning. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We've got a lot of questions here, and this video series will answer some of those. What is a severance? Severance is a planning process to separate a piece of land from an existing lot, generally for the purpose of a new development within a new lot. There are 3 different common types of severances we receive in Norfolk County. The first one is when a piece of land is separated to create a new parcel of vacant land. For example, a landowner may have a large lot and wish to separate a piece of land from the original lot with the intention to sell the lot to a new owner. In that case, both lots need to comply with existing zoning requirements such as setbacks of any existing or new buildings from the property lines. The second one is a surplus farm dwelling severance. It happens when a landowner purchases additional farmlands and a residence on one of the properties is no longer required for their farming operation. In this case, the owner can sever the piece of land that contains the redundant residential dwelling. And the third kind of severance can be a boundary adjustment between 2 adjacent properties, where one property owner agrees to transfer a piece of their land to the other owner. There are various reasons we received a boundary adjustment severance, such as to allow additional lands, to accommodate a building construction, or to construct an extended septic system, or to resolve the setback deficiency of an existing lot. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We've got a lot of questions here, and this video series will answer some of those. What is a subdivision? If a landowner would like to divide their property into 3 pieces of land, they can submit a severance application that we explained earlier. Whereas a subdivision application is required when a landowner has a piece of land large enough to divide into more than 3 or 4 individual lots to build new houses or other kind of developments. The subdivision process generally requires a more in-depth review with a longer processing time to ensure that the development meets county's development standards. What is a condominium? A condominium, often known as a condo, is an ownership model where the building or group of buildings is divided into multiple units that are surrounded by common areas for circulation, servicing, or amenities such as parks and open spaces. The common areas are jointly owned and managed by the owners of the units. Residential condominiums are frequently constructed as apartment buildings and townhouses with private roads. Many shopping malls are also commercial condominiums in which the individual retail and office spaces are owned by businesses that occupy them, while the common areas of the mall are collectively owned by these business entities. A condominium corporation is often made up of condo unit owners who manage and operate the condominium complex. What is the difference between a subdivision and a condominium? One of the main differences between a subdivision and a condominium development is who is responsible for providing services such as water, wastewater, and road maintenance after the construction and occupancy of the dwellings or units. In a subdivision, the county takes responsibility for providing these services to individual lots. On the other hand, in a condominium, the county is only responsible to providing services up to the entry point of the development. The condominium is responsible for distributing services and the maintenance to the individual units. How are subdivisions and condominiums approved? To get approval for a subdivision or condominium, the landowner must apply for approval of a draft of the plan that shows how many lots are proposed, the lot size, how the lots will be accessed, including any new roads, and how the lots will be serviced for water and wastewater or other utilities. The planning team will provide guidelines to the landowner on the standards they need to comply with. Examples include road design, tree plantation, fencing requirements, and maintaining a buffer from any existing industrial or commercial sites, etc. Generally, the subdivision applications go to council for a decision, whereas most of the condominium applications are currently approved by the county staff under delegated authority. How are residents informed about a new subdivision? When a draft plan of a subdivision is approved, the neighbors receive an approval notice of the application. The neighbors have 20 days to appeal against the approval or refusal of the draft plan. Once the appeal period has expired, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done by the developer before beginning the construction. An approved draft plan of subdivision does not constitute a legal lot. It is merely a draft plan. Norfolk County must ensure that all lots are appropriately designed and serviceable through a subdivision agreement, and only then can the lots be registered and the owner can apply for a building permit. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 184.
All right, welcome back. May I have a motion to reconvene in open session at 4:34 p.m. Moved by Councillor Van Andrieschie and seconded by Councillor Van Passen. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I will now ask the clerk to read out the matters addressed in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So Council dealt with two items where they received information from staff. Staff provided that information and Council provided direction on both items listed on the agenda. So if we could have one resolution to adopt that, that would be sufficient. Thank you.
Okay. If I may have a motion from Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Brunton, related to those two matters that were discussed and direction provided in closed session. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. May I also have a motion then to approve bylaw 2025-43, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. Councillor Van Andrieschie, seconded by Councillor Columbus. Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. And can I have a motion to adjourn at 4:35 p.m. Moved by Councillor Michele and seconded by, rare opportunity, who wants their name on it? Councillor Columbus. Look at that. To adjourn this meeting. That's moved and seconded. Call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you to staff for your work today.